I'm in the world, but not of it. I praise God every day and I love it. I say what I want and I say what they want. I stand for the truth and what's right and they don't. Life is simple, it's no puzzle. Common sense will tell you not to wear a muzzle. Fear no evil, trust no people. When in doubt, shout, I'm a believer. I fear no man, though the world is broken. God, shine your light on me. I fear no man, though the world is broken. God, shine your light on me.
I offend everybody, the left, right, in the middle. Blame my parents because I've been this way since I was little. It used to be normal, now everybody praying to crystals. No wonder why it's so easy for the devil to trick you. They treat you like dogs, putting muzzles all on your faces, forcing kids to wear them in schools. Doesn't this seem outrageous? They ban Bible scriptures on tick.
I'm in the world, but not of it. I praise God every day and I love it. I say what I want and I say what they want. I stand for the truth and what's right and they don't. Life is simple, it's no puzzle. Common sense will tell you not to wear a muzzle. Fear no evil, trust no people. When in doubt, shout, I'm a believer. I fear no man, though the world is broken. God, shine your light on me. I fear no man, though the world is broken. God, shine your light on me.
I offend everybody, the left, right, in the middle. Blame my parents because I've been this way since I was little. It used to be normal, now everybody praying to crystals. No wonder why it's so easy for the devil to trick you. They treat you like dogs, putting muzzles all on your faces, forcing kids to wear them in schools. Doesn't this seem outrageous? They ban Bible scriptures on TikTok.
Let's go to Target!
What's up?
Let's go to Target!
What's up, Marshall? I forgot today's show happens right at the same time as something else I wanted to watch. So we're actually going to be improvising in the show today. We're going to be randomly jumping to this Andrew Wilson and Owen Schroyer debate because I've been waiting for this one for a while. I'm going to watch the openings. It should be starting, but they're playing a supplement commercial.
Debate. Cleanse your system.
Yeah, I think it's starting soon. What we got today? Oh, hold on. It's starting right now, I think. No, not yet. What do we got today? We got Southern Poverty Law Center stuff. The SPLC. The Boogeyman. I've talked about the SPLC. I wonder now if the ADL is the same thing. They probably got the same thing going on. All these groups that we had to hide from. We had to make sure we fly under the radar and don't say certain things because their watchers will get you. Turns out I could have just sent in an application. I could have just applied and worked for. I could have just worked for them. I could have got paid to say racist stuff. Holy crap. Why did I not know about this? We'll talk about that. Then we'll talk about, what was the other thing? Where's my dang notes? Where's my page? Oh, yeah. The scientists. Scientists are dropping dead. We got UFOs. We got space scientists. Alien scientists dropping like flies. We're going to look at that. And then we're going to end with, we'll probably spend a good chunk of time, of course, on the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting. We got a 3-named guy. Some places are giving him 3 names, which is assassin. We always talk about that, the 3-named assassins. Shout out Conspiracy Theory with Mel Gibson. Probably my favorite movie. Do they pay good, the SPLC? I don't know. I didn't ever get to apply. They didn't hit me up on my LinkedIn. Shoot, what was I just? Oh yeah, the 3 name thing. Assassins get 3 names, so some news stations are giving him 3 names, but other ones aren't because he's not successful. I don't know if you get 3 names if you're an attempted assassin. You don't get 3 names. 3 names, you got to earn 3 names. So that's the plan for the show today. I want to watch their openings for this debate. Sound effects. Show started. Monday night, kicking the week off right. This is the Dreaded Conservative Show. What's up, Carlos? I want to see these openings. We're going to improvise and cut in the show a little bit. That's fine, because I've been like under prepping lately because I can't go long because I got to go to work. But I like these Uncensored America debates. We watched Destiny and Owen Schroyer live, and Owen was not impressive. You know, that's my boy. And I'm going to say Owen won the debate just because Destiny's a Coomer gremlin. But as an objective debate viewer and critiquer and practicer myself, I know a little bit. Wasn't super impressed with Owen's performance against Destiny. So we're going to see how this is going to go. This is about Trump, which I see people in the comments, they're like, they don't even disagree about much. This is a very contentious issue, and I want to see this because it's basically the flaky guys who, Trump, oh, he lied to us about the Epstein files. Oh, he lied to us about the wars. We're turning on him. He's doing everything wrong. He's not deporting as many people as we wanted. We're not content. So we're just going to turn on him. The same people turned on him and they went towards DeSantis before the election. And they're like, oh, no, just Trump's done. It's DeSantis time now. I was like, I'm from Florida. And I don't even say that. No. And so they're the MAGA's divided again. I think that people heard MAGA and they thought, "Make America great again." That's this narrative that we're gonna do this, and this to make America great again. To me, MAGA just meant standing behind Trump. That's always what MAGA was to me. And I'm kind of biased, like weird. Should I go into all this? I don't know if I want to go into all this right now. Hold on. I probably talked about it before. Before my dad died, we kind of like reconnected and we would talk on the phone a lot for like a year leading up to his death. We would talk on the phone a lot. And one of the biggest things we connected over was Trump. We both loved Trump, and he loved Trump more than me. And so it's kind of like, I don't think my dad would have turned on Trump over this stuff. My dad loved Trump since The Apprentice. I didn't like reality TV, so I never really watched The Apprentice when I was younger. I was out getting into trouble, not watching The Apprentice. I think I probably watched The Apprentice from jail a couple times. But we bonded over Trump, so I'm standing behind Trump even when he fucks up. And I'm going to downplay it and I'm going to defend him. Even on things that I don't really like I don't really like being at war with Iran. But I'll still defend it because Trump's the president and I voted for him. And so I'm going to have his back. For Pops. Looks like the debate's starting. So that's what MAGA was always to me. It was not about... I liked his policies. I liked his immigration, economics, and foreign policy. And I still do. He's not doing exactly what I want, but I trust that he's going to make the better decision than I would. I don't know. If he says we got to go to Iran, I only got 2 more years left, and we got to make a big change over there that's going to affect the rest of the world for the better in the long run, and this is what we got to do. I'm making the executive decision. I'm going to say, all right, yes, Amasa. You say you sick. I say, yes, I'm massa. We sick. And he said America's sick right now from Iran, and we need to fix that. And I think this is all going to come down to. And so, anyway, Owens turned on Trump. Owen and Alex Jones had their falling out. The Groypers sound like socialists now. You know, everything's falling apart. And let's see if I'm on Andrew's side in this one. Let's see if the people who are going to hold the ground are going to come out on top. Or if these people that flake to and fro, you know, if that's going to be the winning argument. It's starting right now. But they're probably going to talk for a while.
Online, you can tune into the Crucible, Uncensored America, or Brian Shapiro's channel as well. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to the moderator of tonight's debate, the one and only Dr. James Coons from Modern Day Debate.
Thank you very much for being here.
We'll get to all the news in a moment, guys. We're doing something a little different today.
I am very excited on behalf of Modern Day Debate to be collaborating with Uncensored America. In fact, we'll also be collaborating with them this summer for DebateCon 8. That's in July in Dallas. That will feature 2 days of debates, including headline debates with Andrew Wilson and Rachel Wilson. If you're watching online, check out the link in the description box. Grab your tickets as we expect it to sell out. With that, as you know, I am very excited to get into this. Tonight's topic is, has Trump's presidency been successful? I'm going to...
Yeah, I was thinking if I was going to try to do like a Nor Prep debate, because we kind of touched on this in a VK one night and we didn't have time to dig into it. But I say Trump is doing better this presidency than his first presidency. More effective, getting more done. Maybe not as much as what I would want him to do. He probably did more of what I wanted him to do in the first term, but he tried to do more than I wanted to do, but he couldn't do anything. This term, I think he's gotten more done in a shorter period of time than in his first term.
To start by introducing the affirmative speaker for that question. He is known for his high energy and sharp debate style, which has gotten him invited to elite podcast platforms such as the Joe Rogan Experience and the PBD podcast. He is also the leader of the organization known as the Crucible. Please join me in welcoming Andrew Wilson.
Smoky man bad, they cry, they shout. Smoky man bad, but
they actually planned this music in there. That's crazy.
He laughs through the hay. Smoky man bad. The air is thick with his nicotine.
With that, we will be introducing the negative position for tonight's debate.
You turned off the music, James.
He is best known as a bold and outspoken political commentator, recognized for his
Schroyer, the
energetic
Destroyer. Don't
presence
punch me.
and his coverage of current events across major platforms. He
Why
has
would I
been
punch
a
you?
prominent voice with InfoWars and continues to engage millions through his independent content and reporting. Please join me in welcoming Owen Schroyer.
Schroyer the Destroyer. Audio's down, James. Audio guy. Sound man, get on your job. Hey, tell him, sound man, you better get on your job. Owen's doing the long-haired thing. Looking like a mullet now. Owen got himself a mullet.
For tonight's format, we will have 5-minute
Owen's going for the super villain look now.
openings followed by 5-minute rebuttals, a crossfire section of 40 minutes followed by audience Q&A for 30 minutes, and then 3-minute closings. With that, I have the timer set for you. The affirmative going first. Andrew,
There's
the
Rob.
floor is all yours.
First and foremost, thanks.
Andrew, the
Hold
floor
on, there's
is
Rob.
all yours.
Where's Avarice?
Timer set for you. The affirmative going first. Andrew, the floor is all yours.
First and foremost, Thanks, all of you, for being here. And before we do anything else, we got the legend Owen Schroyer. Can we give him a good round of applause?
This is kind of crazy because before Andrew ever blew up and stuff, he's talked about Owen before. He went on Owen's show and then he interviewed Owen, and he like respects him a lot.
That said, you're still going to get stomped. So, first and foremost, let me clear up any misrepresentation when it comes to my views. I am anti-Zionist and anti-Christian Zionist especially. I have done many debates on the topic, and I've won them all.
We're just going to watch the
I'm
opening,
also
and then
very
I'll watch the rest
anti-Islam
later.
and consider the ideology just as poisonous as the ideology of Zionism, especially Christian Zionism. I am not a war supporter in Iran, and I never have been. I say this at the beginning of the debate, so when bad faith trolls who are on foreign accounts try to influence American politics in the comments, claiming that I'm in some way a Zionist, pro-Israel, pro-Islam shill, you can shatter the lies by simply showing them the beginning of this debate, which they won't even watch.
Exactly.
And I can laugh at their stupid.
People skip the openings. I think the openings are the most important part. I'm an opening guy.
Stupidity together. That said, I also don't believe Jews or Arabs are ontologically evil just because they are Jewish or Arabic. I represent a worldview, and I believe there are stupid and evil ideologies in this world, and those are the things I debate against and resist on a political level. Today we debate if Trump has been successful as a president. Usually I would clear this up semantically and quickly with Owen.
Space 44 Super.
Get
Agent,
out of here
the
with
next thing
this.
You can't live without.
What is this?
No setup.
The thing is still playing.
I'd like to begin by general.
Stupid.
Usually
Dude,
I would
what are
clear
you
this
doing?
up semantically and quickly.
I prefer a regular ad because a regular ad pauses the video, and then when the ad's over, it pushes you back like 2 seconds. That stupid ad cuts in while the video's playing. That's ridiculous. What's up with Kung Fu Joe? Never seen him. He's gonna be in the Ward War thing, and I don't know. I haven't ever seen him. Maybe I have. I don't know.
With Owen. But we seem to have the same general notion about what success
Seems like he's a sciencey guy. So he probably believes we landed on the moon,
means and doesn't mean. So
which we did.
we will just get right to the heart of the debate. I'd like to begin by pointing out that Trump stopping two different left-wing women from becoming president and being the first president who's a woman should immediately default him to the position of a successful president. As just that alone saved the nation from years of torment and suffering from the most insufferable vocal fried women the world has ever seen. That alone, I feel like, wins me the debate, but there's so much more. Starting on the pro-Christian side.
Well, this is first term versus second term, so that really doesn't. That's just saying. Isn't this? They said the debate is Trump is more effective, or Trump is having an effective second term, or something like that.
Office of faith, though I don't like who's in it, I like there's an office for it. Affirm via executive order there are two genders and revoke the idea of gender being different from sex. He signed.
Yeah, the laser mirrors isn't a great argument though, because you could do that unmanned. You could just send a rover up there that sticks a freaking laser or light reflector in the ground. So it's not the best argument.
An executive order stopping trans-surgical chemical alterations of children. He made Christmas Eve and the day after Christmas federal holidays affirming Christian beliefs as the ones we celebrate. He signed an executive order to eradicate anti-Christian bias in the government. He expanded school choice via executive order so we could remove our children from indoctrination center of atheists. He signed an executive order expanding Christian participation in adoption. He reinstated the Mexico City policy blocking U.S. tax dollars from promoting abortions in other nations. He enforced the Hyde Amendment to stop federal funding of abortions. He strengthened the conscientious protection for doctors and nurses who are against abortion. He supported religious charter schools. He directed the State Department to prioritize against Christian persecution abroad, just to name.
See, when your opponent does something like this, which I do this in openings, a lot of times in your opening, you just want to like ramble through all the accomplishments or something. I doubt Owen's writing down every argument, because then you're just writing too much. But you basically the broad theme, and then a couple of them you want to hit on, you'll write those down. But you can go more into all these. People might say, well, that's a gish gallop. It's not a gish gallop in an opening when you're listing all the successes, and it basically the broader argument is all these good things equal good.
Some of his policy directives, and that's just the Christian side. Domestically, his most major victory is something incredible. Net migration negative, more immigrants leaving than coming. Both legal and illegal, which was his primary function in office from the standpoint of voters, and this is one of the few Western nations where that is the case currently with limited exceptions. The Cato Institute, very pro-immigration, had to admit themselves that Trump has limited legal immigration even more than illegal immigration, negating the base fear from his own base that he would stop illegal immigration, ramp up legal immigration. He hasn't. Over 130,000 less per month just on the legal side.
If he says, but he's not even at as big a number as Obama, those numbers are deceptive.
Real wage growth is up 1.3% under Trump. It was negative under Biden. The federal workforce down 10%, which is excellent. Crime is down across the nation. Even Owen agrees with that. The Overton window has shifted right on most national conversations, including LGBTQ and transgender ideology. This isn't even getting into the historic court cases like Roe v. Wade and Chevron, which undid huge...
Numbers of trans kids in like middle schools and stuff are going down. It's not as popular as it was. COVID made a lot of people retarded.
...justices in the United States. These are just some of Trump's accomplishments among many. I just can't list them all due to time. The idea of Owen Schroyer and many other anti-Trump right-wingers is accelerationism. The glaring logical hole, of course, in that is all that happens is Democrats get power, make life worse for everybody, and then they just run back to Republicans to fix everything the Democrats did, and the entire time is spent by Republicans cleaning up the mess that Democrats and leftists left for us. It doesn't work and can't work in a two-party system. Ensuring Democrat control by denouncing Trump and Republicans just assures a packed Supreme Court, outrageous censorship, mass migration, expansion of gay agenda, feminism, and the movement of an anti-Christian and anti-Christ-driven world. You guys seem to forget we had Biden. It was awful. And rather than continue his policies, people elected Trump en masse because life under Democrats is fucking awful. Now, you aren't going to get everything you want out of any administration. Trump is way too pro-feminist, pro-gay, and pro-Zionist for my personal liking, but we all knew that going in. He was still vastly superior to the alternative to Democrats and their cohorts, especially Harris, who wanted to roll back tax breaks
30 seconds.
and tax as an offset instead of tariffs, which is Democrat policy as usual. We knew Trump was pro-Israel. He moved the embassy to Jerusalem and tore up the Iran deal the first time around. We knew this was part of what we were getting when we elected him, including Owen Schroyer, who, by the way, was put in solitary confinement by Democrats and held, in my opinion, as a political prisoner. That's what's in store for us under Democrats. I will cede no ground to Democrats under any circumstances, as there's no alternative. There's nothing. You cannot give Democrats power, period. And with that, I'll cede the rest of my time, but just note that progressive ideology is always waiting to strike, and going against Trump is not going to help against that fight.
Thank you very much for that opening. We'll kick it over to Owen for his opening as well.
Facts.
Well, the premise of this debate is, has President Trump been successful or not? The premise is not, are the Democrats a bad political party? I think that we all agree with that. So that is not the premise of the debate. And I feel that the very fact that we are having this debate shows that...
Yeah, and that's kind of the same thing. Like, yeah, he beat Kamala and Hillary, but the question is, well, he's effective at stopping women from being president?
There is at least room for consideration that the Trump administration has not been successful. And while you do list off things that Trump has been successful on, and I will give credit to this administration on securing the border and lowering crime rates, quickly on those issues, though, these are not things that we should have to beg for. These are not things that we should have to consider a success. These should be things that are considered
expected.
A standard. So really that's more of a story of how corrupt our country has become, which gets to what this administration was supposed to be all about. It was supposed to be addressing the corruption head on in that collision and destroying it in the process. And I think it's fair to say that at least to this point, it's not happening. But here's some of the other issues that I think are going to be more important when it comes to, is Trump going to be successful? The economy. The vast majority of Americans still believe the economy is heading in the wrong direction. We have more Americans that...
but he's better for it. It was getting fixed for a minute there. The gas, the gas stuff with Iran caused a little speed bump, but he was fixing it, and it's still just it's not as bad as it was under Biden yet. The food isn't like it was.
That are living paycheck to paycheck today than any other time in recent history. And as everybody is well aware, our national debt continues to go to record highs, but it's not just the country that's in debt. The average citizen is in debt. It's so bad now that people are having to take out payment plans for pizza delivery. Now, you might not want to blame all of that on President Trump, and perhaps that's fair, but yet this is the economy ongoing under President Trump. And it doesn't help when anytime there's another war on the other side of the planet, we have billions of dollars to spend on that while the average American continues to struggle. So the economy, I don't think you can claim has been a success. Tied into that is Doge, the Doge cuts. Elon Musk believed we could get $1 trillion in Doge cuts annually.
See, I think Doge has a lot to do with why Nick Shirley is exposing the stuff he's exposing, and Tyler Oliveira is doing it too, and all these independent journalists are going out and exposing all this fraud, and then once you get the public eye on it, then they can do something about it. I think Doge found all this stuff and is giving them information. These aren't just random people that are popping into Nick Shirley's inbox. Like, he's basically working for the feds to expose. This is all theory. This is my theory, but I think I'm right. I've been paying attention. I've been doing, as they say. What do they say, Kanye?
You ain't got the answers, man. I've been doing this more than you. You ain't been doing the education.
Bro.
Couple 10 million, and they stopped that. There's not going to be any Doge stimulus checks, whether you wanted that or not. So Doge getting cut out cold, I think, was a major failure. Barack Obama has deported more Americans than Donald Trump. Now, we might get into the details of that today. I will
Yeah, wah. Bad argument there.
spare those details.
You see Andrew raise his eyebrows at that one? There's a lot of trickery there. A lot of Obama's numbers was just turnbacks, just turnarounds. They'd come over and he'd turn them around. But then because of his catch and release thing, then they started finding ways to bypass that. They'd bring a kid with them. Then later we do DNA tests on all these kids, and we find out they're not actually the people's kids. And most of them have been sex trafficked and essayed. Not good. No bueno, as they say in Espanol.
For the opening, I'm sure that this will come back up, but yet that fact remains. What about the deep state? President Trump himself has posted.
And with Trump's numbers, they don't ever want to count the self-deportations, which especially when we're paying them to leave, a lot of them left. The numbers I've heard is 2.2 million in self-returns, but then like the Groypers and the people on the right who are turned on Trump, they'll say that those numbers are fake. So,
Posted about treasonous politicians more times than we can count. So if there's politicians that are treasonous and you are the president, then I have to ask.
Well, YouTube's getting paid. Maybe then don't say stuff that's going to get my YouTube channel shut down, Matthew.
Where are the arrests? That's kind of the biggest crime you can commit in this country, and yet nobody has been
There's your
arrested.
arrests.
Don't even get me started on the
Epstein files,
clients, which are apparently a hoax one day, and then the next day Melania Trump is addressing the nation on how the victims of the hoax need to speak to Congress. So I'm not sure where we want to go with that, but either way, no deep state arrests. Where are all the Epstein pedophile arrests? We're not getting those. These are things that people anticipated, and yet there's no success there either. And by the way,
no, it's nothing. It's not the Streamlabs doing it, because the Streamlabs will show it probably on the screen. Let's see. If I look on the Streamlabs, it's probably showing on the screen. YouTube filters it out, but Streamlabs lets it go through. If you guys watch the box if sometimes stuff that you say that gets kicked off of YouTube, if you watch the box on the screen, it'll show your comment there.
way, as you mentioned, Trump's victory over the liberal women, which I think we'll all agree was a major.
They watching me. Well, shit, I'm trying to get paid. What can I say to get paid? Was the SPLC watching? Let me get the ADL in here. We could say some anti-Semitic stuff. How much what's my check gonna look like?
Victory. He was not the president when that happened. He's never won an election as president. Just thought I'd point that out. As far as the office of faith is concerned, it seems to be going about the same way of the Board of Peace. Nothing but vanity, no real...
Right, Paula White, the office of faith with Paula White. Great. I don't know if that's... I wouldn't even bring that up. I wouldn't even touch on that.
Results.
In fact, I think... Because I know Andrews, the Crucible, the Christian epistemic worldview, all that stuff, you have to say Trump is doing more, moving towards quote-unquote Christian nationalism. He's moving us closer to that and he's more Christian in these ways. That's a rough one because all the opponent has to say is what, with Paula White and pictures of it, memes of himself as Jesus? That's how Trump's being better for the Christians? Like, I don't know.
You talk about the anti-Christian bias that they're fighting, yet look at who Trump is working with now. He's making sure that Karine Jean-Bowler kicked off of the Religious Liberties Commission for her political takes. Yet Laura Loomer, who is a vehement anti-Muslim, anti-Catholic psychotic, somehow has the ear of President.
She is crazy, too. She is crazy. And where's my girl Bobert at? She off in the movie theater doing something.
Trump. So I'm not sure if that's really working for the anti-Christian. You know, wage growth, that's going to be an interesting one. I'm sure we're going to get more into that. But I think it goes back to the general economic picture that whether it's Trump or anybody else, Americans are still struggling. And I think if we be honest here, if we're going to be honest, a lot of this economy is actually...
I think you stick with stuff like the Big Beautiful Bill and you just run through all of the things about the Big Beautiful Bill for the economy thing. You can talk about the tariffs. And then he's going to end up sounding like a liberal, being like, oh, tax cuts for the richest 1%. No, the Big Beautiful Bill did a lot more than that.
Actually Trump's fault. And I know he likes to blame it on Biden, but if you go back and look at it...
Good evening,
it was
Pinocchio
the COVID
Helicopter.
Economy that caused
We're doing something a little different tonight because I've been waiting for this debate for a while. And even though I have a show planned, we're probably just going to end up watching this debate. Maybe if I have some time at the end. But if I keep pausing, I'm not going to. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
permanent damage.
Maybe we'll do like a 2-hour show tomorrow night and just run through the news. There is cool news this week. Noah's Ark discoveries. We got Noah's Ark.
It was the COVID economy that resulted in 10 to 15 to 20% inflation. Those are Trump's policies. Now, Biden was obviously a disaster. I'm not here to promote anything Biden did, but that was the Trump economy. The COVID economy is the Trump economy. Now, as far as accelerationism is concerned, I don't believe I have ever publicly supported that. I do understand the concept. I understand why people like it. I'm not here because I want Democrats to win. And I think this is a very important statement for me to make because much like in your opening statement, you wanted to clarify some things that people get wrong about you. I want to clarify this. I do not want Democrats to win. As has already been documented in this debate, Democrats have put me in prison. In fact, I was put in jail 4 times for supporting President Trump, including the last one when I was put in solitary confinement. So believe me, I know how dangerous the Democrats are. The problem is, it's not up to me. This is Trump. If Trump cannot get the Republicans over the finish line in the midterms, that has nothing to do with podcasters, it has nothing to do with accelerationists, and it has everything to do with President Trump and the GOP. And ultimately, that's going to be the major measuring stick as to whether or not he's successful.
Solid. Solid. Solid, and that's a responsive second opening, negative opening. Like, he wasn't looking down at a paper a lot. He took some notes, and he glanced down at his notes, but most of that was just off the cuff. He's just speaking. That's pretty strong.
Thank you very much for that 5-minute opening as well. We'll jump into the 5-minute rebuttals. The timer is set.
Andrew's opening sounded way longer than 5 minutes.
So this is just straight time, right?
Straight time?
Yeah, so 5 minutes each?
Yep.
Okay, gotcha. So let's go through a bunch of this stuff. Let's start with the economy. He seems to be pretty upset about the economy and says that it's all Trump's fault. In some ways, he's correct, and in many ways, he's not correct. So progressives warned us of this, right? Progressives said, if you cut all this immigration, GDP go down. Why? Because they have an influx of cheap labor, right? You have cheap labor that comes in that artificially keeps the wages depressed for corporations. They can then sell you things and goods for cheaper. Pretty simple, right? So what does Trump do? Stops all this mass migration. Prices go up. I'm stunned. We were forewarned of this for years by the opposite side.
This is also the reason why he had to let us keep the farmers. He can't just deport all the illegal farmers because people also, they want the immigration, but they also want food prices to stay down. If he kicks out all the Mexican farmers, our food prices are going to go up more than they already have because we're getting rid of it. We're closing the border. GDP is going to take a little bit of a hit because we're not bringing in all these illegal immigrants anymore. Which do you want? It's a double-edged sword, and people just like to bitch instead of thinking about things.
By progressives. And so what's hilarious about this is that, yeah, it is in fact going to be the case that if American companies have to start paying fair wages to American citizens, prices are going to go up. But you can't have your cake and eat it too, Owen. You can't say, I want there to be no mass migration to the United States at all, and I want all my goods and services cheap. It's not going to work that way. How can it? Can you explain to the audience what the Owen Schroyer policy would be to offset that? No, you can't, because you wouldn't have one. You're going to have to eat shit on that. One way or the other, you're going to have to. The other problem is, he says there's a war on the other side of the planet. That's true. There is. It's been going on for about 7 weeks. That's about it. 7 weeks. So that's our big. Hang on, it's my.
Dude, these ads are the worst. Hold on. Now I have to rewind right at a good little hit right there.
Other side. 7 weeks. That's our big. Hang on.
So not 47 years, he said?
It's my rebuttal time. I won't interrupt yours, I promise. 7 weeks, not quite the forever war that we were promised from the other side. And it seems to be ramping down. Not only that, when it comes to that war, what we find is that
if you're going to call it a war, you have to call everything we've been in Iran with from the beginning a war. So it is a 47-year war. It is a forever war, and it's not going to end under Trump. It's just going to get slowed down for a little bit, get a little handled, and in 10 years, it's going to be happening again. You either have to say it's not really a war, and if it is a war, it's not a 7-week war. It's a 47-year war.
Most of the exports in oil are going from China. They're going to China. How does it not behoove the United States strategically to do something about that? Of course it does, and we can dive into that too in the open back and forth. Now, I'm not a big supporter of foreign wars, especially not in Iran. I'm not making any excuses for it. I'm just pointing out something which is obvious. He also says Elon Musk did Doge cuts. Were Democrats going to do Doge cuts? No. Trump made that promise, and that's exactly what they tried to do. He's been hamstrung at every level. This guy has 3 times the amount of court cases against him as any other president does in the last 50 years. It's ridiculous. Democrats hamstring him at every corner. So as we go through this, let's talk about Epstein. That's another big one. With Epstein, you have to separate mythology, the actual mythology of Epstein, from the facts of Epstein. To hear the other side tell it, there is a global pedophilic satanic organization which runs the United States. The evidence they have for that?
Not much.
They have nothing. They have no evidence whatsoever. Guarantee you he won't be able to provide us with any evidence for that. Not a single shred. Not only that, I'll tell you something really interesting. I do know of a satanic type religion of pedophiles, and right this second, Trump's blowing them up. Right this second, as we speak, he blew up their leadership. The Ayatollah Khomeini instituted child marriage, as young as 9 years old inside of Iran. And we're killing them, overwhelming. You want to talk about pedophiles? Let's talk about pedophiles. Where are they?
I've seen, I think Adam Francisco and Caitlin Bennett do this with man on the street interviews, where they'll say, you always want to talk about Epstein and the pedophiles, but then when we're bombing Iran where they're allowed to marry 9-year-olds, Trump's a bad guy.
I can tell you who we're blowing up right now who are pedophiles. That would be Trump blowing up pedophiles. That's what he's doing currently. So it's really funny to me, the Epstein people, hey, wait a second, we're totally anti-pedophile. This is ridiculous. There's pedophiles at the top levels. They have no evidence for that. And yet, if we just look not too far away, we see that there's an entire nation of pedophiles. Do you mind doing trade with them? right? Owen Schroyer
Do you,
recently said,
do you like, you don't like gas prices, but you like letting a bunch of PDFs control the world's oil, the entire world's energy?
I don't care why, or he said in his debate with Shabos, why is it that Iran is not allowed to have a nuke, but Israel is? What are you advocating for there? That a whole country full of pedophiles is allowed to have a nuclear bomb? Why should we allow that? It's ridiculous. Moving through some of these other problems, he says the problem is Republicans podcasting means nothing. When we're talking about Trump, especially in his second term,
cameraman, get on your job.
In fact, Kamala Harris said it herself. Joe Rogan. And the fact that Trump went on Joe Rogan really helped push him over the top. Harris regretted the fact she didn't do the syndicated radio shows. He didn't do
because Andrew's moving.
She didn't do any of that. She regretted it.
Cameraman keeps moving.
She even blamed Myron Gaines, a podcaster, for parts of her loss. She blamed him and the evil manosphere.
They need to make their logo at the top a little smaller. They're trying to keep his head not behind the logo, but
so
he's
as we
moving.
go through this, I'm kind of happy. I'd like to get into the back and forth as quick as we can so that we can see if any of these criticisms actually hold muster. He says he's not addressing corruption. Yeah, he's not addressing corruption head on. It's like, wait a second. What do you mean? He's going after the SPLC right this second. As we speak, super corrupt organization, which was working with the deep state, by the way. Just pointing that out.
Spoiler alert, that's what we were going to talk about first.
Owen for his 5-minute rebuttal as well. Floor is all yours, Owen.
Look at these feds.
Well, as far as when this war started, obviously there's a lot of contention in the geopolitical debate realm, but at least for this administration, it started last June with Operation Midnight Hammer. And since then, we haven't gotten a lick of honesty because we were supposed to have a night.
Yeah, I think it's funny when I debated Vigilante, I couldn't remember the name of the 12-day war that happened in June 2025, but I had said it in my opening statement. It's Midnight Hammer. I said it in my opening statement, but then later in the debate, I couldn't remember the name of the war. I was like, yeah, we fought. He's like, can you name any war that ended quickly? That America was involved in the past decade? And I was like, yeah, like last year we had the 12-day war. And he's like, I couldn't remember what the operation was called. It's Midnight Hammer. I said it in my opening.
Annihilated or obliterated was the official word from the president, their nuclear capabilities. And then they came back a few months later and said Iran was weeks away, days away from a nuke. And so now we're over there again. And I think to most people, they perceive this war, I think accurately, as just another regime change war. Now, you may not care for Iran's leadership. You're not going to get any pushback from me on any of that. And yet the facts remain. This was a regime change war.
Past
they lied
leadership.
to us about it from the very beginning. There is a major contingency of Trump's voting base that voted for no new wars. It was part of the campaign promise. In fact, Trump himself, for decades, has been talking about how we've wasted blood and treasure in the Middle East, wasted it. His own words. He ran against Bush's wars.
Yeah, but he's also said that we just need to, he's talked for decades about taking Karg and basically controlling that part of the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz and all that because he doesn't want Iran to have control of that. He's said that for decades too.
In his first campaign in 2015 and 2016.
And again, if we're calling this a war, it's not a new war. It's been a war forever. Or we just can't call it a war. We have to call it a set of battles and a little strategic operation or use some fancy words to describe what it is. But we haven't actually declared war on them. And if it is a war, then it's not a new war.
And he even said specifically no more regime change wars. So that's just a total reversal of policy on that. And this has people wondering who's making these decisions. I don't need to get into that now. But we're not even getting consistency on the messaging in the last couple of weeks. The strait is closed. It's not closed. We've won the war. The war's not over. We need to go in. Nobody really knows. And by the way, I think Trump does that strategically. But nonetheless, the truth is that we don't get any honesty from this administration. It just doesn't add up. And as far as the strategy with China and Russia, I'd like to think that this is all going to work out in our favor. I'd like to think that that's the play that Trump is making. However, it doesn't appear to be going in our favor. I think that most of the world is looking at the foreign policy of this administration and they're seeing it as very, very favorable to Israel, which is essentially a pariah of the entire international community. And so instead of perhaps these countries maybe driving away from Russia and China, I think they're driving to China and Russia and away from the United States because of Trump's aggression, again, in the Middle East, as the world views it, on behalf of Israel. As far as the Dems, hamstringing Trump, I think that happened a lot in the first administration. I'm not really seeing as much of it in this administration. But this gets back to the deep state.
Right.
I thought we were talking about criminals. I thought we were talking about the Obama administration committing treason. We were talking about them illegally spying. And yet now President Trump says, I'm okay to give up my liberties for safety. I'm okay with them illegally spying on you. That doesn't really sit well with me. And I think the Dems are going to look at that very favorably when we get to the midterms. Israel does have a nuke. It is it's a violation of the nuclear proliferation agreement. They're not supposed to have one. Everybody knows they have it. In fact, technically, they shouldn't even be our ally because they have a nuclear weapon, but somehow they're above all of these rules. Now, again, I'm not here to take any ground in defense of Iran, but I will point out the fact that Israel is famous for repatriating pedophiles. That is a fact. Everybody knows it. American pedophiles are able to flee to Israel and get safe harbor there. We have many, many instances of this. Now, the Epstein files, I don't know how deep we want to go into this. This one is a little confusing to me. You say, show me evidence that there is a pedophile ring. Well, I would slap down on the table, not even 50% of the Epstein files. We don't even know how many we've gotten, but it's 50% max. There's not a single Iranian in the files, not a single one. Now, there is a certain group of people that are in there, but we don't need to get into that. But they all are rich, and they're not in prison, and that's where they should be. So I don't really want...
Because their name's in there. But what does it say about them procuring children who were trafficked? Now, there could be stuff that's not released yet or that's redacted that they are investigating. And I know they said they're not investigating anything, but that's what they would say if they were secretly investigating something. So maybe they are investigating things and we just don't know about it yet. Or maybe there's a lot of intelligence involved and some of those names, if they unredacted it, people would be like, oh, that's a PDF file. But actually, that's an operative that's doing something for national security, or maybe Israel's national security, America's national security, MI6, whoever. But they can't just be going out releasing that stuff. What we've released so far, you don't have evidence in those files that any of those people actually traffic children. If you did, it would be redacted. You wouldn't know about it.
To have to think about Iran's cultural issues. These are Americans and people that were using them for blackmail to get leverage over our country. That's how most people perceive these Epstein files, of which we don't even have the entire files. But in them, we see references, what appear to be killing people, taking women, young women, babies as...
Yeah, George Bush saw a white girl get banged by a bunch of black guys on a boat, and then they cut her with a spear, but she didn't bleed or something like that. They did some magical spells. Then they sacrificed a child and opened it up, and George Bush was eating the poop out of his intestines. That's what that's in the Epstein files.
Sex slaves, who knows what else is going on in these files? There's very obvious code language. I know this. If I was able to get one of my kids' cell phones and I'm reading through this cell phone and they keep talking about pizza and grape soda and jerky, I'm going to pull one of them aside and I'm going to say, hey, what are you talking about? And if they say, oh, I'm just a pizza connoisseur. Me and my friends just make beef jerky and eat grape soda. I'm going to say, bullshit. Tell me what the hell you're talking about. If I see you saying, I'm going to get pot from my friend, I know you're not talking about a potted plant. I know you're talking about drugs. So it's obvious the same thing is going on in these emails.
Own a vacation rental if it's
not
listed on booking.com.
I ain't gonna lie. That's probably true.
Vacation rental.
Come on. What is this? It freaking plays over the video.
I'm going to get pot from my friend. I know you're not talking about a potted plant. I know you're talking about drugs. So it's obvious the same thing is going on in these emails. Where is the investigation? If your kid brought that to you, you would not believe them for 1 second. You'd say this is clearly code language and I'm going to investigate what it is. I think we should continue to investigate these Epstein files instead of continuing to cover them up, because I do think there is a there, as most other Americans do, and that's something that Trump campaigned on and many of his administration talked about for years.
And time. With that, we're going to jump into the crossfire. This is 40 minutes, so this is fully up to you guys. If it gets too rocky, I'm going to jump in and put it into 90-second responses. So the floor is yours, gentlemen, for open dialogue.
So I wanted to start, if we could, with Israeli repatriation of pedophiles. So you and I both agree that this happens and it's abhorrent. Do you know that what the numbers are, roughly?
The last story I read was a CBS story. It was a couple dozen, I think.
I think total that I could find, I was being as charitable to your view as I could, it's about 200. That's a lot. It's a significant amount. But it's nothing in comparison to the Catholic Church. Nothing. Which is somewhere around 100,000 children, perhaps, or more. When we talk about this idea of pedophilia here in the United States, Owen, this is my...
100,000 children? But we're talking about PDF files being repatriated, given protection in another country.
Big issue with this is that there's always a red herring, right? The red herring is, well, Israel repatriates pedophiles. It's like, yeah, that's true. So does the United States in a way, though. We have passport bros who they go to Malaysia, they have sex with underage kids, and then they come back here.
That's actually illegal, though. That's called sexual tourism.
It's the same exact principle applied. The only difference is there's no official right of return. There doesn't need to be. They're already U.S. citizens. But when we're talking about this, we know where the groups of pedophiles are. We've known this for years. The Catholic Church, for instance, again, part of one of the largest pedophilic scandals.
JS must be looking at travel sites. Yeah. Well, I had to get plane tickets and stuff.
In the world. Which church do you belong to again? Is it Catholic?
I have no qualms with what you're saying about the Catholic Church, whether I identify as one or not. So go ahead. I will sit here all day as a confirmed Catholic and ridicule their pedophilia.
Yeah, I'm just saying that when you use the red herring of the Israeli repatriation...
How is it a red herring if it's true?
Because, the red herring happens when
Didn't you admit it's hundreds?
When you say, hey, wait a second. Yeah, hundreds.
So it's a real thing, so it's not a red herring.
No, the red herring portion of it is when you obfuscate away from the argument on the Epstein files as though there's a global cabal of pedophiles. I point out in Iran, there's an open cabal of pedophiles. You say, well, Israel harbors pedophiles too. It's like, no, they don't have official policy for pedophilia, dude. They don't.
Hold on a second. You just admitted you're talking about people that have been actually charged with crimes of pedophilia that Israel knowingly takes in. They are very well aware.
That's not in every instance. That's
so
in
they are
some
very
instance.
well aware.
Sometimes it's suspected. One of the big key ones was an Australian case I'm sure you're familiar with. That was one of the big key ones, but it's not always the case that they're charged with anything. There lots of them are just suspected of this.
There was just
the same way that the United States is suspected.
Hold on.
Yeah,
there was just an IDF security official, Alexandrovich, who just got charged, caught in a bust, and he fled over there. He's gone.
Of course. But you're going to find...
give me a comparable story this year to the Catholic Church.
You can find the same thing.
Show me the Catholic Church. Show me the Catholic Church finding a pedophile and saying, come to the Catholic Church.
They moved them to other churches. What are you talking about?
To
allow them to continue to offend hundreds of thousands of cases.
So show me one name.
I'm supposed to
hundreds of thousands of cases.
I just gave you one name in the last year. Tom Alexandrovich, IDF.
I don't know about I don't know about hundreds of thousands.
Church doesn't move around pedophiles?
No, I just said they do. I can talk about the Catholic Church all day long.
Then why are you
But we're talking about the Trump administration dealing with the Epstein files. That's what we're talking about.
So as we're diving into the Epstein files, give me your biggest piece of proof that Donald Trump in any way knew about any pedophilia, and name actual names of people who you're willing to say are pedophiles in that administration. Go ahead.
Okay, I never made either one of those claims.
Exactly.
But I will respond to your question. Yeah. Howard Lutnick lied when he said he hadn't been to the island since he found out. He got caught lying. He took his family there. This was after Epstein had already been a convicted pedophile. Now, if Donald Trump wants to claim he has plausible deniability as far as Epstein's activities are concerned, I suppose that's fair enough.
Are you even claiming that guy's a pedophile?
Well, you know what? If you want to talk about the things Trump has said about his daughter,
answer the question
Ivanka,
before
we can
you
talk about
obfuscate.
it. We can talk
Answer
about
the
Donald
question.
Trump. Hold on a second.
Are
We
you
can
going to call that guy a pedophile?
Have
or
I
no?
called Trump a pedophile once?
Well, this is why I'm getting clarification.
He's talking about Howard
The answer is no.
Lutnick.
The reason I'm getting
The answer is
clarification
no.
is because on the Epstein files, people refuse.
Problem is he can't call any of these people that because he could get sued by very rich, powerful people for defamation because you really don't have evidence yet.
To separate mythology from
The power
facts.
of the yet.
And there's a lot of mythology here. And this mythology that you guys
I still think some of these people will go down.
continuously talk about, that Trump is in some way associated
Maybe
with
for
this
something
global
different, but
cabal
they'll
of
find
satanic pedophiles,
if
but
they're
you never
really
give names, you never give evidence.
doing crazy
the only
stuff.
evidence is they don't give us evidence. Why would you trust the evidence that these people give you anyway? Why would you even trust that anyway? You don't trust them, the evidence that they've given you so far. So why is it always the demand is like, I want endless evidence of a thing that we always make claims about, but can never demonstrate? Why?
So Trump is obviously maybe mentioned more than anyone else in the files. If you want to claim that he has nothing to show illegal in the files, that's fine. Howard Lutnick, however, lied when he said he hadn't been there. He is still in the Trump administration. He was just running point for their meeting at the Oval Office just last week. And he's in the files taking his kids to Epstein Island. So would you take your kids to Epstein Island?
Well, okay, so are you saying at the time there was media scrutiny that this was a pedophilic island? He was
Yes,
supposed to know
100%.
it?
100%. Epstein had already been charged. He'd already been in jail.
Are you
Yeah,
saying this
he
guy
took his family
to the
there.
island to get him raped?
I don't know what he took his kids to the island for.
you
He
don't
denied
know.
it. He
By the
denied
way,
it.
again, by the way,
He denied
this again
He
is
lied.
absence of evidence.
Okay, so they can get him for
That's
perjury.
That's not evidence.
No,
you
no,
guys
no. Did
never
Howard
will
Lutnick,
actually
hold on.
name.
Did Howard Lutnick go to the island?
I'm not sure.
He admitted it. He's in the files.
Yeah,
He
I'm
took
not-
his kids.
I'm not sure on that particular, but it's irrelevant, the particular,
He did. We talked about this. Yeah.
because even if I grant the particular, you won't actually call the guy a pedo because you don't have evidence.
Yeah, I'm sure he didn't go there for sex parties with his family. They went and they had lunch with Epstein on the island. They had a meeting with him, probably having to do with money. Yeah, that's most likely it. But he knew Epstein was into some weird stuff. Yeah, he knew. But he still wanted to move his money. He still wanted to, invest and do the right things with his money. And Epstein was the guy for that.
You never have evidence, just claims. Claim.
Or if Epstein is intelligence and these politicians and these high up people are having meetings with him, then there's something that's set up for a certain reason that can't be talked about. And the blackmail ring, maybe that's it. Maybe that's an operation to catch people. I don't know. None of us know. But there could be reasons why Lutnick went to that island after he knew. Now, did he lie? Yes, he lied. Was he on the stand? Maybe you can get him for perjury. Should Trump have him around? Well, if Trump knows the reason why he went to that island and what was happening, but there's a reason he can't talk about it, then maybe it's good that he keeps him around. He knows Lutnick better than I do.
Claim. No evidence for it. Now, I'm willing to cede a bunch of points to you. If you can show me some evidence of it, happy to do it.
So
Trump
wait,
was,
hold on.
hang
Are
on,
you
I'm almost
contending-
done.
are you
Trump was
contending-
actually right. He claimed that the Democrats were going to use the talking point that, Trump's a pedophile, Trump's covering for pedophiles, the whole 9 yards. He says, yeah, that's a hoax. Whole thing's a damn hoax. And it is. The whole damn thing is a hoax. They've been calling this guy a pedophile. You just said he's named in the, how many times is he named in the Epstein files? That's a
Stupid.
Democrat talking point. But
Yep.
what's he named in the Epstein files for actually doing? What?
Well, there are FBI investigations that have some pretty serious claims. They never
Not
manifested
credible.
anything.
They
That's fine.
literally-
No
That's
cr-
fine.
credible.
So
Yeah.
we're not here to have a debate over the Epstein files.
They looked
But
into
I-
him.
but I
brought
do-
it up.
You want him to be looked into? They already got looked into. It was a crazy person.
Up as
But
a
I
reason
do
he's a
find it
failure.
odd. No, you are the one that brought it up. But I do find it odd that you're going to pretend like Howard Lutnick didn't lie about going to the island after Epstein was
I'll
convicted
even
and took his
see
kids.
the point.
Are
Even
you
if
going
I
to tell
do
me?
see
Hold
the
on a
point,
second.
it doesn't help your
Are
point.
you going to tell me? Are you going to tell me that Donald Trump was not friends with Jeffrey Epstein?
He was initially friends with
Okay.
Jeffrey
So-
Epstein,
so
but
he
he
is-
also
so he is-
also banned him from his properties.
That's fine, and he might have helped bring him in.
Hang on,
too.
he banned him from his properties, and he was also front and center at pointing out to people that
Exposing
Epstein
it.
was a creep. That's one. And two, everything that's mentioned in the files, Michael Tracy has done great.
And he's the
work
one that
to
got
gone
what you
through
have
ad
released.
nauseam.
So
The
have I.
things which are put in there about Trump are ridiculous on their face.
Hold
And
on
the
a second.
claims from various people about Trump are noted inside of these files. Most
The whole Katie Johnson thing was a fraud. It was a written script that she was reading with plot holes in it. How you gonna have plot holes when you wrote the script, by the way? Katie Johnson, that's a fake name. They use fake pictures of her. That was an actress. That wasn't real. And we figured this all out in 2016, and now people still think Katie Johnson is a thing because of the Epstein files.
most of the time is being not credible at all.
Here's what's credible. Alex Acosta is the one that cut Jeffrey Epstein his sweetheart deal. It was so bad of a deal
He also is the one that said he's intelligence.
that they had to re-examine it and re-arrest Jeffrey Epstein and put him back in jail in New York City.
Which
where he
administration did that happen
Where he
under?
was ultimately killed.
Yeah, which administration did that happen under?
The Trump administration.
That's right. He got
which is actually
rearrested
starting
under
to
the
look
Trump
a little more
administration.
suspicious. It's actually starting to look a little more
What?
suspicious now. Yeah.
How is that more suspicious? So
He
Acosta,
died in jail.
What administration
How
did
did he die
Acosta?
in jail?
What administration did Acosta?
Trump's.
Was he in when he cut the deal?
He wasn't in office. Trump wasn't in office.
Yeah.
Acosta
Whose
was an
administration?
attorney.
Whose administration was that under?
Obama's.
Obama. So Obama, we have Acosta, goes ahead and gives him the sweetheart deal, right, under Obama. Under the Trump administration, they rearrest Jeffrey Epstein. Isn't that amazing? The guy protecting the pedophiles.
So the person that Trump brought into his administration is the one that cut Jeffrey Epstein a sweetheart deal that no pedophiles, child sex.
You found your dream engagement.
Oh
ring
my
at the same
God.
company. Now we'll protect
I-
it with
and
our
I can't
all-inclusive
pause the
free
video.
lifetime warranty.
Him again.
Yeah, they have.
But see, you guys think I'm looking at jewelry? No. So why the hell does that pop up there? I ain't getting married. I ain't buying nobody a ring. So sometimes the advertising isn't totally targeted.
Seen it before in their life. First
So
of
look,
all,
whether
he
Trump-
wasn't even
hold on.
accused of pedophilia. What he was accused of was localized trafficking in Florida. And yes, people have been cut sweetheart deals for that. You're full of it.
Okay,
What-
so
like,
your
for-
stance
for-
is
what are you talking about?
So your stance is Epstein was not a pedophile and there's nothing in the Epstein files. Because I don't want to debate this the whole time.
I didn't say that. My stance is that there's bold claims which are made, and I can see you running from it. I don't blame you for running from the claims.
This isn't the
but you
debate.
can't-
I'm not
you don't
here
have
to, I mean,
evidence.
you're on a
Is it
losing
a
track.
failure of
This
Trump's
is
or not?
worse. Absolutely.
Well,
I think Jeffrey Epstein was a creepy weirdo who liked underage girls, and then he would hire assorted girls for parties who would give massages with happy endings. I think that's what's happening. And he was paying them handsomely, and they were loving their life. And then they got millions of dollars afterwards. So you're 16 years old, you're making $300 a night to jerk off rich, powerful men and drink and hang out in parties and mansions. You're loving your life. And then 10 years later, you get another million. And then 10 years later, you get another million. And then 10 years later, you get another million because of your trauma.
then it's
Absolutely.
part of the
There
debate.
should be dozens of Epstein
Then there's
arrests.
it's part of the debate.
They are literally
Of who?
covering it up.
Tell me who.
exactly. They've redacted
Exactly.
the names. They've
Who
redacted
should we be arresting? Exactly.
I'd love
what does
to
that
know.
mean?
Why are all the names redacted from the files?
Because
Why haven't they
I'll
given
tell
us
you.
all the files?
I'll actually tell you. And if you had done your due diligence, you would know this.
Oh, because they're victims.
No. Because victims advocacy groups and lawyers have tied this thing up like nobody's business. And again, Michael Tracy's done the
And
research
no
on
pedophiles
this.
go to jail.
Which pedophiles should go to jail?
The ones that they
And some of them he would take to a island tropical paradise where the girls would not be kept locked in cages, where they were living like princesses. And then they would get to hang out with people, rich and powerful men from all over the world. Man, it was rough. It was rough out there. And the majority of them were not under 18. Some of them were as old as 30. 30s, 18s, 20s. And then a couple of them are, 16, 17, maybe 15 on the island.
they've redacted. So
What
did
are their
Epstein-
names?
So Epstein trafficked kids to no one.
I don't know if you remember your youth, but I knew some crazy 15-year-old girls. Just saying.
No, Epstein was getting kids.
So Epstein-
Ghislaine was trafficking kids to him.
Okay, so Epstein raped all the kids. No one else did.
You ever seen the movie 13? That movie's about 13-year-old girls. doing drugs, partying, all sorts of stuff.
Name a single person he trafficked you to.
They're all redacted from the files. What are you talking about?
The files don't even indicate that.
You can see in the emails. He says, "I have girls. How old do you want them? I have girls. I don't like yellow. I want Russian." That's all right there.
That's not him. There's nothing to do with pedophilia, as far as you know.
Sounds like hookers.
So as far as you know, it does.
Wait a second. Absence of evidence is not evidence. Do you agree with that?
No, I'm using your logic against you. If you're saying
My
it
logic
doesn't
works
prove
for
anything,
me.
Andrew's saying that they were looking for some hoes. Boats and hoes. Boats and hoes. Gotta have me my boats and hoes. Didn't say that they was looking for underage hoes. Now, some of them might have been underage, and that's maybe how Jeffrey would blackmail people. But it's still a crime looking for hoes.
Not for you.
Okay, so I'll accept this because I don't want to debate. So Epstein was not a pedophile. He was not trafficking children to anybody. He was not friends with Trump. They're not covering up They're not covering up the files.
I'm wanting to get with you.
The mythology of Epstein trafficking children to all of these various pedophiles is a mythology. I'm also willing to see that Epstein himself may very well have been a pedophile, but it seemed like the trafficking was going to him. And you have no proof to the alternative of that. And even when you point at Acosta,
So what is
this
Epstein
happens
doing?
under Obama, rearrested under Trump. Trump's the only one who released any Epstein files at all, signed in the Epstein Transparency Act.
Yeah,
Congress
after they redacted them for weeks, they still haven't
because of
released everything.
victims.
They still haven't released everything, by the way.
How would Trump unredact them? Can you explain that to me?
Well, they shouldn't be redacted at all.
Yeah, but how would Trump unredact them?
Well, it's actually pretty easy. I think he calls them and says, "Hey,
no,
unredact these."
No. That's the judicial branch. That's a different branch of government.
And he can call them and
Trump's
tell them
allowed to do that with classified documents. Not allowed to do that with redactions. Those redactions.
It is a nice suit.
Judiciary. So what should Trump do here?
He can easily declassify. He can easily release everything.
They're not classified. They're redacted.
Then why aren't they released?
He did release them.
Not
he
all
released
of them.
millions of documents.
Not all of them.
And not only that, again, how would he get them unredacted? Tell me.
Not even all of them. They're
Tell
not
me
even
how
all
he
released.
would get them unredacted. How?
It's very simple. You bring out the investigators and you simply read the names that are redacted. That's all you got to do.
You mean like they did in front of a press club, and those poor guys who weren't actually pedophiles got calls and threats and everything else?
That happened to one guy.
Yeah, but I mean,
one guy.
that's reading the names of people who aren't even related to it.
Okay,
This is the problem, man.
So this is good. So you're satisfied with the Epstein files?
I didn't say satisfied, but I'm pointing out that I'm not willing to make claims that Donald Trump's a bad guy based on redactions that he's not responsible for. You can't tell me how he should unredact them. You can't tell me
it's
who
very
the,
simple.
who
I want
the
all the
victims are.
files.
He wants Trump to take his time to go through 3 million files and make sure and check all the redactions and figure. He ain't got time to do that. He's not the one doing that. He's got other things to deal with.
You
Show
can't
me
tell me
all
any
the
of this.
files. What do you mean the victims go in front of Congress every freaking day?
I only want to jump in just because, given that we have only 40 minutes for the open dialogue.
Do we want to spend it all on the Epstein files?
Epic so far. I just want to be sure if there are other topics you want to cover. We have 28 minutes left.
I would say,
Can we move on to the economy?
The Epstein files is a debacle and a disaster for
The
President
releasing
Trump.
of the Epstein files was a debacle. I agree with that. The problem is that what I'll never accept is lack of evidence being evidence of a thing. And while you pretend that there's a global pedophilic ring that you have no evidence of controlling the United States, I can show you a global pedophilic ring which exists right out in the open that Trump's blowing up right now.
So Epstein didn't put a bunch of security cameras in all of his
Come on, go to the economy.
That didn't happen. He wasn't working with Maxwell, the daughter of the top
Yes,
Israeli
he worked
spy.
with Ghislaine Maxwell. Yes, there were security cameras in his various places. All of that is correct. That's, again, asking
that's called
questions,
evidence.
not providing evidence.
So why does he do that for?
Wait, there's cameras here. What's that evidence
This is an
of?
event. This is a televised
Yeah, but
event.
what's it evidence of?
Who is Epstein televising what's going on in his room?
He wasn't televising anybody. Got any proof?
So why are there cameras installed?
Because the same reason rich people have cameras all over their houses.
So he has them in all of his bedroom secret cameras?
What secret cameras? Can you show them?
Well, maybe he's a creepy weirdo that liked recording people having sex.
No.
He had a damn security room
and collecting blackmail, but still collecting blackmail is not
one specific room, by the way, not on all of his properties,
the allegation,
and not in the Florida properties. And those are the ones where he got convicted of all these things. So what are you talking about? You're talking about a completely unrelated thing to what I'm asking you. Do you have evidence that Trump was part of a global pedophilic ring, or that anybody was?
Yes.
Okay,
absolutely.
Give me your best piece.
The Epstein files.
best piece in the Epstein files.
The whole freaking thing. What are you talking about?
Nothing.
Okay, so hold on. So was Epstein convicted?
Not of pedophilia.
Economy.
He was.
Okay, who?
Was Maxwell convicted?
Who? I'm sorry.
Was Maxwell
I'm
convicted?
sorry. When was Jeffrey Epstein convicted?
So-
This is what happens. It just becomes Epstein files and the juice.
Pedophilia?
Epstein, jail. Maxwell,
When
jail.
was Epstein
Jean-Luc
convicted of
Brunel,
pedophilia?
jail.
When was he
Two of them committed suicide
When was Epstein
in jail.
convicted of pedophilia?
I think whatever the first charge was, in 2007 in Florida.
That's not. He wasn't convicted for pedophilia. That wasn't
Trafficking
pedophilia.
children
That-
isn't pedophilia.
First of all,
So now you're saying Epstein wasn't a
he
pedophile?
he was doing underage. There was one or two of the underage prostitutes that came from the school. That's true. But I
So
think
that's
they were
underage?
I think they were 16, 17, not prepubescent.
Yeah, well, there was
children.
a-
Whole different
there are
ballgame.
some
He wasn't
14.
convicted of pedophilia.
Okay. So Epstein wasn't a pedophile. Glad we got there.
I didn't say Epstein
might
wasn't a
be
pedophile.
not-
Apparently,
I said you haven't given us any proof he is.
the chick who
Got some?
died,
Yeah, there's no proof
she
Epstein
was
wasn't
14.
a pedophile.
Oh, I'm
guys.
going to
According
use
to
an
the
argument
story.
from
He
incredulity.
killed himself in jail,
I
nothing
wanna
to see
jump in.
here, and
No,
we
I
should
do
probably
want to-
pardon Maxwell
I'm
too at
totally,
this rate.
I'm
do
totally
wanna jump
incredulous,
in.
but I have no evidence of my claims.
Just because the economy is another topic we might want to cover still while we have time. We do still have about 25 minutes.
Anyway, so I try to operate off a facts basis. What happened, I'll just sum this up real quick, and then I'll give you the last word on it, to be fair. I'll just summarize it very quickly on Epstein. Epstein very well could have been a pedophile and likely was himself a pedophile. But when you make these claims about demonic global pedophile rings which control the United States, yeah, I want some fucking evidence. I do. And I'm not willing to throw the President of the United States that I voted for under the bus without any evidence. I'm not.
Andrew
So,
edits himself
you know, if you wanna
sometimes. He
tie it
says
off,
some
you can.
fucking evidence.
Well, I'll just say we also saw in the Democrat emails spirit cookings and children in the hot tub for entertainment. So, but there's no evidence of pedophile rings. Or
You're
anything like
talking
that.
about
I'm sure none of it
Podesta
happens.
spirit cooking?
I'm sure none of it
The
happens.
big art
I hate
project
That's right,
spirit cooking?
Podesta. That's right.
to-
Yes, Leon Podesta, who was part of a
I hate to
massive
push us
art project
into-
for spirit cooking, along with, how about we talk about Rocket Pizza? Did they have
Alistair
babies
Crowe.
underneath there, Owen? Did they have children in the
good-
basement, Owen?
Good opportunity to go into the economy.
Yeah. All right. So, moving into this, I just got a single question for you. Owen, how would eliminating mass migration into a net negative not cause economic downturn or higher prices? How is that even possible?
Well, it's actually, there's a simpler fix to that, and that is you have to cut taxes. You have to cut them significantly. You have to cut them immediately. Americans are paying roughly.
Wait. Well, if you cut taxes, now you're bringing in even less GDP. And you cut the immigration, you're bringing in even less GDP. But then you want to complain about the national debt. Then how do you plan on paying off the national debt and it not growing exponentially when you're cutting everything that brings in money?
30% of the money that they make plus the property that they own. That number needs to be single digits tops. And a lot of Americans will have a little more money to take care of their bills and take care of their family. But we're not really having that happen. Now, I feel like this whole argument is assuming that Americans don't want these jobs.
No, it's assuming they do. In fact, my argument to you is just, I'll simply state it. If it's the case that we bring in, I don't know, 100,000 immigrants tomorrow to California, let's say, okay, and they're willing to take $10 an hour less than the Americans who are there, would you agree with me that that'll probably save you prices in goods and services from whatever that corporation is or company?
Probably,
Yeah, probably. So like if you took McDonald's and you paid them $25 an hour.
Whether you're a professional
Oh my
or
God.
just love getting hands-on with your home
This
projects.
is the worst.
Immigrant labor, do you agree that that's likely true?
Yes, but I don't believe that's the solution.
I agree with you. But if it is in fact the case that Trump is doing his job, which it seems like he is since we have negative net migration, why wouldn't it be the case that if we're deporting all of these illegals and they're self-deporting at an overwhelming rate, of course your localized food prices are going to go up because most of these jobs are now going to Americans. In fact, this is exactly what Cato is saying. They're saying we're getting hurt mostly in the economy because
Car problems?
Trump is not even letting legal immigrants come in. I thought that was what we wanted, man. We want to stop that legal and illegal immigration. But it's like, not if your fried chicken's going to go up 30 cents. What are you talking about? We want that, right?
Well, the deportation numbers are not where they need to be. I don't know how much that falls into the economic realm of things. Obama deported more people than Trump, so we're not.
There was a
getting
lot
those
more people
numbers.
to deport.
But I think that there's other reasons for that. I think that this gets into the, let's say, failures at the Department of Justice, which maybe they're just starting to get into with the SPLC, but I don't know. We'll see about that if we come back to that. We're being told as Americans, hey, buck up and...
It's not just the SPLC. It's the fraud in Minnesota. It's the fraud in California. There's a lot of things that are just conveniently being exposed and are conveniently becoming viral, and then everybody's talking about them, and then investigations are happening.
Pay more for gas. It's this war in Iran. You've got to buck up. It's your patriotic duty to pay more for gas. That is a war that's being fought in the foreign and special interest. Do you think Americans might be willing, instead of paying another extra $1 per gallon of gasoline, maybe an extra 10 cents for a cheeseburger if they know that means Americans are taking the job? I mean, that's essentially what we're being
But most
asked.
Americans don't know that, because even people on my side are running around saying Trump's not deporting enough people, even though we have a net negative in migration right now. Those
Well,
jobs,
we do have a closed border.
Hang on, those jobs, yes, a closed border and net negative migration, legal and illegal. More people are leaving than coming. That's for the first time we finally got that. It's like, yeah, prices are going to go up from that. You know this. Why not be honest with people?
Went up
if
from
that's the
prices,
case,
no,
and then we
prices
talk
went
about
up from
gas. Hang on,
tariffs.
hang on, I'm almost done.
Prices went up from tariffs.
Okay.
Prices went up
You
from
want to get
energy.
into tariffs? We can do that in a second, but let's start with the gas prices. All you're doing is pitting Trump against Trump. On the Biden level, at his top, do you know what the gas prices were?
About right where they're at now.
Nope.
About 10 cents
Way
more.
more. They were
Not way
they were
more.
over $5.50. Yeah, they're $1 cheaper right now at the peak of Trump than they were at the peak of Biden. So you're only comparing Trump's gas prices to Trump's
I
gas
thought it was
prices.
more like 10
'Cause you
cents, but
compare
it
them
might
to
be
the
$1.
Democrat, They were still way higher. I mean, way higher.
But
Now,
when did
Trump,
the price
Maybe like
go up?
60 cents.
Trump, speculation mostly.
No, when did the price go up?
Oh, I thought you said why did the price
No,
go
when?
up?
When did the
well,
price
the price has been going up steadily and decreasing
Since we
steadily.
attacked Iran.
Yes, correct. Due to what? Market speculation. And you can't control speculators, and neither can Trump. It's not because we have some shortage of oil. Where's our shortage? Nowhere. We're not getting oil from Iran. We don't even have the processors for their oil. That goes to China. So we have no shortage, but our oil prices go up. Why? Because of speculation. And you just completely omit that. Not only do you omit that, but you omit this other part, which is you still haven't explained how it is that we're going to have net negative migration and prices aren't going to go up. They
Trump,
are,
hold
right?
on a second. Trump is the one that claimed that he could get gas prices down.
He
He's
did.
the one that made that claim.
And
it
he
hasn't
did.
happened.
They're lower than Biden's peak by $1.
No.
Yes.
Okay, but we don't even know if we've seen Trump's peak. If
Well-
this war in Iran doesn't
well,
end,
you can't just say, well, I'm incredulous, they may go up more. They're actually going down. They've been going down steadily.
gas
not up.
prices are going down?
Yes, they're going to be going down, yes. And speculators, by the way, are speculating that, which is why they're going to be going down.
Oh.
Interestingly enough, when we're talking about oil prices, though, and gas prices, yes, at Biden's peak.
Oh,
they're
based
$1
on my
lower than
ads?
National average right this second as we're talking. I even made sure this morning before we came in, just to be sure. And yes, that is in fact the case. So it's like you're only comparing Trump to Trump, and even with him blowing the shit out of pedophiles in Iran, like the Ayatollah Khomeini, he still managed to give you $1 cheaper gas than Joe Biden did.
But you just said it wasn't Trump. You just said it was the speculators. Now you're giving credit to Trump. So I don't know what, I'd like a little consistency.
Okay, so wait a second. So you're going to blame it on Trump instead of the speculators, but when I say even under those circumstances it's $1 cheaper, that can't be because of Trump.
Let's
It's
be
like,
clear. No.
yeah,
Here's
I
my metric.
want the consistency.
No. Here's my metric.
Yeah.
Trump said on his campaign he would get gas prices down.
He did.
He hasn't done it.
Yes, he has.
He's even admitted that we had to take a detour off of America First to do this war. He said it's over. It's not a war.
He
It is
has
a war.
gotten
We've won
the gas.
Trump Owen's doing better than in this debate than he did in the one against Destiny, and the one against Destiny he was supporting Trump. This one he's against Trump.
war. We're
Prices
still,
down. What
gas
are you
prices have
talking
gone
about?
up since we started the war.
Yes,
So,
gas prices went up when we started the war due to market speculation.
so Trump started
I
a war,
agree.
and now gas prices are higher. That's
yeah,
the fact.
but you're only comparing Trump to Trump. And if you're going to compare him to Biden,
I'm comparing, yes,
gas
Trump,
is still
I'm
cheaper
comparing
than the
this
Democrats.
administration to this administration.
Exactly.
Gas prices have gone up since he started this war.
Yes, and if you follow Trump's plan, gas prices are likely going to bottom out because he has control of
I
over
hope.
oil there,
That's a nice
control
hope.
over oil in Venezuela.
That's a nice hope.
He has control over all of it.
The Venezuela oil won't be ready for probably months.
But
though.
we still have control of it. What did I say? In the future, it'll go down.
We'll
Why?
see. I hope
Because
that's the
speculators
case.
say
I hope
same
that's the
thing.
case. But that's not the case right now. And Americans are struggling financially. And now here we are in another war in in the Middle East, and we're sick of it.
Are you going to blame market speculators?
I'm going to blame Trump for getting us into another war on Israel's behalf. Yes, I am going to blame Trump for that. He did that.
So help me out here. Can you tell me all of the downsides of Donald Trump killing pedophiles in the Middle East?
First of all, do you know every single person? Were those schoolgirls pedophiles?
It's institutionalized in the Iranian
No. Were the 200 schoolgirls pedophiles?
You want to make sure that they're alive so they can get raped? But that aside, no, of course not. But there's going to be deaths inside of a war.
Okay, so it is a war.
Yeah, I didn't say it wasn't a war.
Does he need
I'm not going
congressional?
Andrew bit a big bullet on that one, and it might have went a little far with that. Even Owen was like, "Is that what you want to say there?"
Quibble over the word, even though there's no ground.
Basically, what Andrew just said is that bombing a school building in Iran is justified because if we don't, those girls are going to get raped by men when they get older. So we might as well just blow them up. Yeah.
There's no boots on the ground. There's none of that. I just want to know, how is the global interest served? You're so concerned about pedophiles. He killed one of the most major ones who's ever existed since the late 1970s.
Well, he was friends with Epstein.
He put it inside of the Constitution of Iran that you can marry 9-year-old girls, dude. And by the way, Khomeini,
that's good.
Khomeini,
So,
hang on, almost done. Khomeini was married to a 15-year-old. Perhaps by the lunar cycle could have been 14. His son was married to a 14 or 15-year-old. A lot of his high command were married to children as well. Trump killed all of them without a single boot on the ground.
Great. And I'm sure after we've killed thousands of Iranians, including young schoolgirls and the entire family, I'm sure that the Iranians are going to be less radicalized because of that. So I'm not
radicalized. What do you mean? How do you get more radicalized than marrying children, dude?
What do you think they're going to stop?
What are you talking about?
You think they're going to stop?
No. Well, I'm just saying. How do you get more radical? You're like, oh, the Iranians are going to get more radicalized than marrying kids.
Well,
like, the United States blowing up the pedophiles is going to really make them mad.
How many countries has Iran been bombing this year?
Well, Iran is a state sponsor of terrorism. You agree with that?
And is Israel a state sponsor of terrorism?
I think that Israel's done many terrorist actions.
Is America a state sponsor of terrorism?
I don't think that America generally is a state sponsor of terrorism.
Okay, well, in the Obama administration, it's very well known we were arming moderate rebels that turned into ISIS and turned into ISIL. So America backs these proxy groups. The CIA backs these proxy groups.
But that was due to Bush doctrine. Most of
and
that
now
was
Trump isn't. Now Trump is Bush.
Trump has where's the forever war?
We're in the Middle East.
Not a single boot on the ground.
We've been in the Middle East the majority of Trump's administration.
Is there a single boot on the ground in Iran?
We have been at a war.
I think there are.
Bro,
I think they sent 50,000 over there last week.
That's like
where?
All over the Middle East. We have boots on the ground.
No, in
all
Iran.
Over. We've
in
got
Iran.
boots on the ground.
Where's our invasionary
in the
force?
Strait. We got people in the Strait. We're talking about going to Karg Island.
Oh, we had 7,000 people there, and now there's 10,000 people there. So where's the big invasionary force to take over Iran?
So okay, fine. I'll tell you what.
Where's it at?
If they do go into Iran, what will you say then?
Yeah. Well, at that point, I'm done.
Okay, fair enough.
It is the case.
Fair enough.
I've drawn the line for myself that if there's a ground invasion Iran,
I thought we sent 50,000 Marines over like last week, and they're waiting on boats and they're around Karg and stuff.
That would be a continuation.
What about casualties?
Hang on. That would be a continuation.
See, I wouldn't say this because then if we do put boots on the ground, I'm still going to be like, yeah, fuck them up. You know, that's their job. That's what they signed up for. Drawing this line at boots on the ground when there probably is some boots on the ground over there already.
Continuation of the Bush policy.
What about casualties?
Hang on, let me finish the point, and I'll get to casualties too. If it's the case that there's a mass ground invasion of
ground invasion,
then yeah, I would have to pull support then because that would be a continuation of Bush forever war doctrine. However, limited strikes like what we saw in Venezuela, or 6 to 8 weeks, which is what we're seeing right now, that's not enough to pull my support from this president, especially with all of his success in domestic policy. Even if I grant you, and I'm not a fan of the war, I'm not an advocate of it, but even if I grant it that it's the worst thing he could have possibly done, it's not going to change the fact he's been a successful president. His domestic policies alone in eliminating crime
and the Epstein files is not compelling.
And mass migration and being a net negative, that's what people...
It actually sucks that they spent half the debate on that because I think that's Owen's weakest point.
Wanted more than anything. It wasn't just the forever wars, it was the mass migration. That's what Trump always harped on. And he's been after it and after it and after it. And he did deploy the National Guard to protect these various centers in these cities, while ICE was removing these people from the nation. Democrats did everything that they could do to stop them, including court cases, terrorism against them, and everything else in between. So it's like, all of those show me that the guy is very successful, even if I grant it to you how bad Iran is.
Well, I think that they made a major blunder on the deportations because now they're basically stopping them. They should have gone after the Democrats first. Quite frankly, they should have been arresting Democrats for treason. Alejandro Mayorkas should have been the first arrest. He should have been hauled in front of Congress. And you're a little too late going after the SPLC, in my opinion, which is now being, funny enough, it's actually being directed at the right. They're now using this SPLC thing to claim that anybody that's a dissident on the right is paid for by leftists and needs to be censored. That seems to be the theme with that. But they should have gone after all of these groups right out of the gate, Andrew. They should have gone after all the Catholic charity groups, all the Jewish charity groups, all these groups all along the Rio Grande, all of these groups on the southern border, all the Democrats that brought them in, all the Biden administration that brought them in. All of them should have been hauled to jail.
Yeah,
and they weren't.
Except they have due process, Owen.
And what process have they started?
So hang on.
They haven't even started the process.
So how do you know the SPLC?
Yeah,
because
you
there's
don't know
no
that.
results.
Tell me, how long were you aware of the SPLC investigation?
What are the charges? They're all
Hang
financial crimes.
on. Let's walk through this. When were you aware of the SPLC investigation?
Last
when they released
week.
it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so when they released it. You're not aware of what the Trump Justice Department is investigating or not investigating.
Show me the evidence.
He said
You're the one who wants to talk about. There's no evidence of your claim. Lack of evidence, lack of claim.
Hang on. He said multiple times that he wants to bring James Comey up on.
Andrew's not making a affirmative claim. He's saying we don't know. We don't know what they're investigating. You're not in the DOJ. I know you worked for InfoWars, and sometimes your boss found some secret files and stuff that weren't actually secret. But if they're secret, then you don't know about them.
On charges, right? He said multiple times that he wants to go after these
Those
people.
charges got dropped.
Instructing his Justice Department to investigate.
Andrew also needs to bring up the Michigan fraud or the Minnesota fraud and the California fraud that's been exposed by Nick Shirley, who was at the influencer roundtable, and things that Savannah Hernandez is bringing to light. Cam Higbee was at the influencer roundtable. Do you think it's a coincidence that Cam Higbee is getting all this viral stuff and all this information that he's going and investigating, finding out about the signal chats and stuff? Do you think that was just a coincidence that happened right after he was at the influencer roundtable with Trump? Andrew should bring that up because that is Trump doing that. And I think they're using the power of what they found with Doge. Now Elon steps out, but they still have all that information that was uncovered. And now they're sending people who can get it into the public spotlight out to investigate it.
These things, we're finally starting to see the fruit. My evidence
Instead
is
of the
we're
mainstream
finally seeing
media.
the fruit. With the SPLC, I'm guaranteeing you that there's going to be other organizations which are indicted
Exposed.
for various things like this. This is exactly what it is that you said that you wanted. It's at least
No,
a step in the
hold on
right
a second.
direction.
They've only been charged for financial crimes. They need to be charged for
So
treason.
was Al Capone.
They need to be charged for treason.
Yeah, Al Capone was not charged for his mob hits.
See, in law, that's not the way to go. You don't go for the highest, most crazy charge that you can get somebody on. You go for the smaller things that you can guarantee. There's probably enough circumstantial evidence to convict them on something crazier like treason or something like that. But instead, they're going to go after them for the financial stuff because they know for sure they can get them on that. But they don't have quite enough evidence to convince a jury of these other criminal charges. So they're going to lock them up for the lesser charges that they can guarantee, but they're going to give them a longer sentence, closer to a maximum sentence. Either way, they go behind bars.
For bootlegging,
Wait a
or
second.
this guy is charged with financial crimes.
You're not comparing Al Capone to
I'm telling you
15
that
million invasion of this
it's
country.
the case that you go to jail for 15
Al Capone is more of an American than Mayorkas.
If you go to jail for 15 years for the crime of murder, or to jail for 15 years for the crime of financial, for something
An
besides
Italian
financial
mobster.
fraud, you can prove the one but not the other. Which one would you go after?
Criminal.
I would go for it all. That's what the feds do.
Yeah,
That's what they did to me.
No, you wouldn't. If you could prove one
Absolutely.
but not the other, you would go after the one you could prove.
No, they always overcharge so they can get you a plea and get their incarceration rate and get their conviction rate. I would know. I've been through it before.
Sure.
Regardless, we're talking about almost 2 years into this administration and no deep state arrests. None.
Who do you want?
Pioneer Theater Company.
Oh my God.
Utah's premier professional theater company.
I am not looking into theater.
Brings you regional and world premieres.
James
Tell
Comey.
me what your process would be to arrest them.
Okay. First of all, Dan Bongino, who was the deputy director at the FBI,
Take
spent
us on a
8
road trip.
Years, 8 years.
I got a bunch of videos of road trips.
Writing books and doing a podcast.
They're all on the
about
channel.
Arresting these people. He gets in there and does none of it.
Yeah,
So
the
did
same
he,
Dan Bongino who talked about what was going on in the Epstein files.
Actually, I have seen some things on Facebook about like agencies and improv groups and stuff like that, and I have taken a gander.
Ad nauseum, how none of it made
and then
sense.
changed his mind.
Because he went in and saw. Here's what's funny. Why would anybody ever want to go work for the Trump administration from the private sector, especially somebody like Dan Bongino, if it's the case that he goes in, looks at the evidence, reviews it, and says, actually, I got this wrong, and you guys fucking crucify him for it. You crucify him for saying, look, I got this wrong. And it's like, why would anybody ever want to go work for the Trump administration if that's going to be the case, Owen?
Imagine that. You give us a little peek into what's going on in the Epstein files, and it makes people even more aware and more suspicious, and then you say there's no there there. If anything, our peek at the Epstein files showed us that there is something serious there. Very serious.
You've never, look, not only have you never provided any evidence for that, but your other problem is you didn't actually answer my question. What incentivization would like, let's say Trump drafted you to go to his administration to investigate these things, and you went in good faith and you did. And you came back and you were like, look, I took a look at all this evidence and I was wrong about this. And then all of your friends and cohorts and everybody else who was cheering you on fucking crucified you for it.
You know what, Andrew? It's funny that you say that because that's literally happening to me right now.
From who?
That's literally happening to me. From this new MAGA right cult.
Who?
I already did this. I already put my time in.
Yeah,
I
but
was
who's
arrested.
crucifying
Hold on
you
a second.
for it?
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. For four different times, I was arrested for supporting Trump. Okay.
Yeah.
Now
All incorrect, by the way.
Now, you like Trump. I don't like Trump. Now, beyond the point, I already went through that crucible. I already put my face, my name, my neck out there, and it's not even that I necessarily did it for Trump. I did it for the truth because I believed Trump was innocent and I wanted to support him.
But how
so
are you
I've
being
already been through that.
crucified?
I have MAGA people putting me on lists. I have
What
MAGA
lists?
people doxing me. I have MAGA people sending people to my house. I have Laura Loomer in my box all day telling me she's telling Trump to
hang
post
on.
negatively
That
about
was
me.
typified-
Trump posted something about me. He told me to shut the fuck up. So I got arrested 4 times for this guy, spent months in prison for this guy, did everything for this guy, censored, lawsuit, everything, lost all my social media, kept supporting him, and then what is the one recognition I get from him? Fuck you, shut up. I don't even care. I did it because it's the truth. And now the truth is, this administration has turned against us, MAGA has now been weaponized against us, and Trump is now the very globalist that we were supposed to get out of the White House.
This is ironically hilarious. So the first thing that you claim, you say, hey, look, I was crucified for my support of Donald Trump by Democrats. Do you agree it's by Democrats?
Well, actually, first it was by Republicans because we were going up against...
It's never Trumpers.
Yeah.
Like you are right now.
No, I'm not a
So
never Trumper.
anyway,
I voted for him 3 times.
What happened is, well, now you're like, oh, he's the worst thing ever.
No, I'm
when
saying
you're talking
he's failed. This administration
he hasn't failed. And when you're talking about this, Democrats were the ones who persecuted you. Democrats were the ones who threw you in jail. They were the ones who didn't want to give you a fair trial. Me and my wife, we advocated for the release of J6ers everywhere that we possibly could, yourself included.
And I will give Trump
Okay?
that. That is the biggest victory.
Yeah,
I will never
huge
regret
victory.
voting for Trump because he did that.
Yeah,
Never.
huge victory. Okay.
Well,
But not only that, let's dive into this a little bit deeper.
He wasn't
We're
in jail
talking
for
about your
J6.
supposed crucifixion now by the right. Trump hasn't shut down your channels. He hasn't done any of that. Under Biden, that was a sure thing
Well,
to
let's
have
not
happened.
be so sure that's not going to happen soon.
You say gonna, hasn't though. Okay, under Biden it was a
Isn't that the whole point? Is
Under-
none of this stuff has happened under Trump, and you're
Biden-
saying, oh, but it could.
Hang
It's
on,
like,
under
that's the point.
Biden, no, it's not. Under Biden, it would have, for sure. He was working with Facebook and these other groups in order to shut down people who had podcasts. You have a voice right now, that's true. The President of the United States might have told you to shut the fuck up, but he still gave you a platform, tell him to shut his fucking mouth. That's the distinction.
No, Trump did not. That's the First Amendment. That is the First Amendment. It was given to us by the
Well,
founding
Biden
fathers.
didn't give a fuck about the First Amendment.
And
because
neither
he was
does
working
Trump.
with the tech
And
companies
neither
to
does
shut you
Trump.
down.
Trump
so.
doesn't care
No, we're talking about social media. It's not the First Amendment.
either. Trump, they'll censor us under Trump. They already did. He
Where?
did nothing.
Where?
What are you talking? When did I get censored? What year?
No, the Trump administration.
I was censored under Trump 1. I
How-
was censored from
show me
2018
what
to
policy
2022.
of Trump's administration censored you? What?
What did he do for it? What did he do to end the
That's
censorship?
different. you got to make a distinction.
No, no, no.
here.
You're the one
If
making
it's the
claims that
case-
Trump did something
Yes,
for me.
he did.
I'm not asking Trump to do anything
did.
for me. I'm saying that
He
we had
instructed his
censorship under
Department
Trump.
of Justice to stop putting pressure on Facebook and these other groups for censorship. He promised he would do
that
that.
But that is happening. That's why he just brokered the deal to give the Ellisons everything so that they can censor the internet in favor of this war and foreign policy that's unpopular.
Where's that happening?
Right now. It just happened with TikTok. It just happened with Paramount.
No, TikTok, they talk about the war constantly.
Ellison
I know.
and
I'm
Oracle,
on TikTok arguing with them constantly.
Ellison and Oracle are about to have all these databases. They're going to sell all of
in the
private
future
information.
soon. But you've been wrong about futures before. And by the way,
wait a second. Hold on.
now.
Okay, hold on a second.
I'm talking about
hold
right
on a
now.
second. When Doge ended, and then Musk called the Epstein files a hoax, and then struck Iran, I was called a panickin. I was called a panickin because I knew it meant we were getting into a war with Iran and a regime change war with Iran. I was called a panickin. I was called a panickin because if he did this, the MAGA coalition would be destroyed. And I was called a panickin because I said if he does this, we're going to lose.
What's a panickin?
And now all three things of those have happened.
Except
like Panickin Skywalker?
What was I wrong about Venezuela?
In Venezuela, you said that there's a good chance there that we're going to be bogged down on a war.
Never said that.
You did too.
No, I did not.
You said it on your show. Yes, you did.
No, I did not.
You said there was a good shot there. You were in a debate when you said it, in fact, with a caller. It's a good shot there would be bogged down as well.
What are you
that's
talking
what's funny
about?
to me. It's like every time I dive in to your view, it's always, well, down the road, he's going to do these bad things. Down the road, he's going to do this. Trump's administration hasn't censored you. Trump's administration didn't jail you. Trump's administration didn't do any of that. You just gave him credit for getting you released. And not only that, when we're talking about the economics of this thing. We diverted into this, which is fine. I think that speech is something that we need to debate about. But when we're talking about the economics, you still haven't actually told us how it is that you, Owen Schroyer, are going to make an offset for net negative migration without prices going up. There's going to be an
cut taxes.
That's an adjustment period.
You can cut taxes in a year.
Do you think that prices are going to immediately decrease because you cut taxes?
Prices don't have to decrease. You have more money in your wallet. You have more money in your bank account. You're not paying it to the government.
Again, those are adjustment periods that are incremental. It would be, so if you cut taxes
takes one
immediately,
year. Takes 1
right?
year.
And by the way, Trump doesn't unilaterally have the power to do that. He doesn't unilaterally have the power to just cut taxes. That has to go through Congress. And so this idea that you have, one thing he did do, and he did do well, unilaterally with his executive orders, was with migration. And he did get us to the point where we're at a net negative of migration. Who would ever have given us that? Who out of anybody in the field would ever have given us net negative migration?
If Trump has a positive, it's definitely on the migration issue, but it's not perfect. He's still giving Chinese students, he's still letting Chinese students into these universities to save their ass. He's still letting the H-1B.
50% decrease of the H-1Bs, but the Cato Institute recently said, in fact, cut down 136,000, 50% of the H-1Bs eliminated under Trump's policy. So yeah, it's true. Chinese immigrants can still come in.
We've told India they need to take their people back.
50% less.
He talked about doing
So
more
don't you think
H-1Bs,
that there
but
should be an adjustment period, just like
decided
you said
against
with taxes.
that.
Shouldn't there be an adjustment period for hiring Americans? Because what happened was the farmers, agriculture, all these big businesses said, Trump, we have to have this cheap migrant labor.
That's correct, yes.
And so he caved and he let the donors get what they want. That's what
he
Trump
didn't
does.
cave. He didn't want your food prices to skyrocket. What you're complaining about right now.
Not only did he not cave, but the opposite happened.
What are you talking about? He's doing mass deportation still?
No. He gave subsidies. And yes, there has, not only has there been big-time deportations, but it's border crossings. It's just new ones even coming in versus self-deporting is an amazing feature at a net negative. Same with immigration internationally, which means legal immigration. So yeah, he did deal with them with subsidies. That was designed to keep the prices down. But again, if we follow your policy, which would be mine, you want them all out, right? I want all the Mexicans who are working illegally out of here.
I would say you can't, there's too many, but I would say you have to do at least the 15 that came in under Biden.
Well, you want to get rid of, I want them all gone. I want all the illegal immigrants gone, don't you?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay, great. So if we get all the illegal immigrants out of California.
But Trump's not doing that.
Hang on. If we get all the illegal immigrants out of California tomorrow, right, what happens to the price of produce? Does it go up or down?
Well, we need an adjustment time, Andrew.
Hey, that's my whole point. We would need an adjustment time.
So we both agree that mass deportations is a failure of the administration.
What you're dealing with right now is an adjustment time due to the. How is net negative migration a failure?
We're not getting mass deportations. That's
you don't have to massively deport people who aren't coming in, dude. You don't have to.
They're already here.
Yes, and by the way, he's going after the criminal elements of those people first, which he's been doing. There's a net negative of them crossing into the border. If you had said day one, Day one, with any Republican administration, we'd have only 1,000 border crossings a day versus 46,000 border crossings a day. You'd say it's the biggest fucking success anybody had ever seen.
How about this?
Somehow with Trump, though, Trump gets exactly that done day one, and Owen goes, well, what have you done for me lately?
What is the number? What is the number that you would be happy with of deportations for Trump's 4 years?
Overall number?
Yeah.
Probably I would want to see, like, happy with, you said, versus what would be optimal that I'd want to see.
Let's put a reasonable but good expectation number.
15 million.
I mean, I would be happy if it was the case that we had no new immigrants coming in. I think that's a massive success.
We agree that Trump has had a success. Okay. Let me answer my own question, then you can respond.
No, we got to deport some. 15 million isn't going to happen.
People, which seems like an impossibility, but they came here. We can get them out. There's strategies to do it. Yeah. I think 15 million. If it's less than that, I think we got a problem.
Well, the entire.
It's not going to be anywhere close to that.
15 million number. You would agree with me. There's way more than 15 million illegal
Probably like
immigrants
40,
here.
maybe.
Or 50.
Yeah.
It's very high.
Yeah.
So if it is the case that it's very high that we have this amount of illegals that are here, that's going to take a long time. And Trump has been. Hang on. Trump has been hampered. He was moving towards.
Right, but if there's 50, that's why he's saying 15 would be an acceptable number.
He's been hampered in the courts, again, 3 times the amount of injunctions any other president when it comes to illegal immigration, and he's trying to unilaterally do this because Congress isn't working with him. He's hamstrung at every level. He's using executive orders to push that through, and it's been wildly successful.
All right.
Wildly successful.
We're not going to watch the closings.
You have to say that that's successful. A net negative migration.
I've said that that's the one success, but I just
that's the big success.
I just don't think that it's going to be where it needs to be. I think that he's caved on the mass deportations, and at the end of the day, as much as both of us would like to see every single illegal immigrant deported, I think that the bigger issue.
But if they are, the prices are going to go up, right?
I think that you can negate that by not getting them into another war in the Middle East.
The war in the Middle East, are you kidding me? You think that that's the budget buster in comparison?
Absolutely. He's asking for $1.5 trillion in the next defense budget.
Nothing.
We pay $1 trillion in interest on our debt.
Do you know what our entitlements are? In comparison to military spending? But that's my whole point. When we're talking about entitlements, the number one spending, not military. That's one.
I think interest is about to take entitlements.
Well,
all we had to do was talk about it.
Oh my God.
Opus Clip does the rest, and then you just schedule it from right here.
Wow. Than military spending, 3 times higher. Most of those entitlements are coming in because of illegal immigration and mass migration. You know this. I've heard you say it yourself.
I have a zero tolerance for any welfare.
Yeah, I've heard you say it yourself. So if that's the case, you're not going to be able to do this without a transitory period where prices go up.
It's been a year.
When you see all of these
over
jobs,
a year.
First of all, real wage growth have gone up 1.3% because the jobs are finally going to Americans.
The economy's bad. You can throw numbers every day. The economy is bad. More Americans are living paycheck to paycheck.
Are real wages up or down?
Down.
Okay, so how far down are they?
They're as down as they've ever been.
They're as down as they've ever been, ladies and gentlemen.
Anybody can cook these numbers.
These wages are as down as they've ever been. No, the wages are up. Are you going
to tell Americans that they're doing good financially?
I didn't say there's not room for improvement. We're talking about whether or not Trump is successful. I think that Americans would be doing worse if real wages were at a net negative like they were under Biden. And that real wages have gone up 1.3%. It's a major thing.
And cost of living has gone up 2.3%.
And guess what? That'll go down when you get rid of mass migration and immigrants.
The conclusion of the open dialogue. Gentlemen, thank you very much. That was a riveting open discussion.
I think we take questions.
Yeah, I know. Take us questions.
By the way, that's how a gentleman debates. So
that was truly amazing. And we'd like you folks in a few minutes to get ready for the Q&A, as that'll go for 30 minutes. But first, want you to get ready.
Let's see if Avarice asks a question. Avarice is second in line.
Farm Easy Bank, a sponsor of this event, and your trusted ally in health and well-being. With an extensive range
Is there no
of
closing
generic
statements?
Medications,
I don't know if there's closing statements. Let's go into the news, and then in the last little bit, we'll watch the questions. I looked ahead. Rachel asked a question, then Avarice asked a question. All right. Some news. We'll just go through this real quick because I don't have a lot of time. So the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, they're one of these groups that they watch out for the racism. There's a lot of racism happening, and they're about civil rights and equality and stuff. Here's their website. the SPLC's website. Strengthening democracy and voting rights. We defend racial justice issues, dismantling white supremacy, ending unjust imprisonment, eliminating poverty and economic equality. First in the South, then the nation. SPLC, inspiring hope, tracking hate. They're tracking hate. They monitor over 1,500 active extremist groups, and they dismantle their influence, promoting safety and justice nationwide. Dismantle their influence, huh? Well, that's odd, because this says Southern Poverty Law Center charged with defrauding donors with payments to extremist informants. So they were paying for what they were supposed to be stopping. Southern Poverty Law Center was indicted Tuesday on federal fraud charges, alleging it improperly raised millions of dollars to secretly pay leaders of the Ku Klux Klan and other hate groups for inside information. Todd Blanche said, Justice Department alleges the civil rights group defrauded donors by using their money to fund the very extremists it claimed to be fighting, with more than $3 million paid to informants through a now defunct program to infiltrate white supremacists and other extremist groups. Fabricating racism, using donors' money to make fake racism. That's interesting, huh? SPLC tracking hate. Look at this. All these guys look like feds, by the way. Charlottesville. We're still talking about Charlottesville. DOJ charges from Breitbart far-left SPLC with fraud, money laundering, manufacturing racism to justify its existence. Shocker. Who could have guessed? Who could have guessed? So all this time I've been trying to lay low and hide from the SPLC. I could have been getting a paycheck. According to the indictment, starting in the 1980s, the SPLC began operating a covert network of individuals who were either associated with violent and extremist groups such as Ku Klux Klan or had infiltrated violent extremist groups at the SPLC's direction. Unbeknownst to donors, some of their donated money was being used to fund the leaders and organizers of racist groups at the same time that the SPLC was denouncing the same groups on its website. Crazy. So you're telling me a lot of these people were feds? A lot of these people were fake? A lot of these people were ops? Shocker. That's why I always talk about Daryl Davis, the black guy who infiltrated the KKK, and he got a bunch of them shut down and stuff. So that's the deal with the SPLC. Crazy stuff from that. And they talked about that a lot in the debate. Now we're going to move on real quick. We're going to burn through stuff. We're going to talk about these scientists that are turning up dead. We got the moon landing coming up. So a little bit of space stuff. Since I've started streaming, I've been keeping you guys up to date with the UAP things. And then they had the Senate hearings and the Congress hearings about UFOs. They changed UFOs to UAPs, the unidentified aerial phenomenon, the Tic Tac. They released a bunch of secret files. They made them public of like these things that we see flying around in the sky. And what are they? A lot of them. And then they made a whole agency dedicated to tracking UAPs. But they called them UAPs instead of UFOs because basically, even though everybody's thumbnail was like government talks about aliens, there was nothing about aliens in there. It was all like, basically we're tracking new dark tech from billionaires and crazy geniuses in other countries who are creating these weird aerial phenomenon. And maybe it's military tech. And a lot of it, we knew what it was. Some of it's artifacts on camera lenses and things like that. And they're just like, oh, well, that's just from the camera lighting. A lot of them they said, here's a bunch of these documents and these videos that we have. And this one was just a blotch on a camera. We disproved this one. This one, we think it was this, or it's secret. We can't tell you about it. But now, some updates to this. It's been back in the media for like 2 weeks now. I just haven't got to it yet, but it keeps coming out. Now, the White House is investigating 10 to 12 scientists, many of them involved with this UAP research, this aeronautics. NASA's involved. aeronautics and military tech and unidentified aerial phenomenon research. A lot of these scientists are turning up dead. Some of them are involved in nuclear things. These researchers are just turning up dead. So first, we're just going to look at this guy, David Wilcock, who, if you've ever, whenever I go to the gym, they're always replaying Ancient Aliens on the History Channel. You might have seen this guy. I think he was on Joe Rogan. He died at 53. Now, a lot of his supporters are saying his health was on a downturn and they kind of knew this was going to happen, but they're saying it was suicide. But he said there's tweets from him within the past 2 years and on his show saying a lot of scientists are dying. Guys, I will never commit suicide. I want to live a long, happy life. Then he gets suicided. Well, it turns out there's a lot more than just David Wilcock here. We'll go through some of them. But now the White House is opening up an investigation into this, find out why all these scientists, a lot of them dealing with the UAPs and these UFOs. Everybody wants the UFOs. They're turning up dead. So let's look at this real quick.
Every day that I have on earth is a gift and a
This is his last live stream that he did before he died.
blessing, and I'm very grateful for that because, frankly, people are disappearing. Scientists are going missing. Now they're saying they're going to investigate this. The president himself is saying they're going to look into this and see if anything's going on. It's a little bit scary. I got to say, it's a little bit scary, but you guys knew that I might still show up even though it was last minute and I've had a really rough week. Like, you know, that's kind of like every week, but somehow we keep on making it through all of this every day that I have.
That's his last live stream. And then he died. He suicided himself. And then there's more. Well, we'll watch this in a second, actually. Let's wait on that. This is not supposed to be here. This is supposed to be up here somewhere. This is David Wilcock, the guy from Ancient Aliens. This is him when he's younger. 911 call reveals David's last words. That's 6 minutes. We don't have time to watch that. But so he died. Another suspicious death of a scientist. Let's watch this one.
Family reported him missing early. Joshua LeBlanc grew up in New Iberia, but he was working in Huntsville at NASA as an electrical engineer. His family reported him missing earlier this week. His car was found Tuesday afternoon, 2 hours away from his home, with no signs of him anywhere. Joshua LeBlanc was well known in New Iberia, where he graduated from Catholic High and later attended and graduated from UL Lafayette. His family tells me he last communicated with them at 4:32 a.m. Tuesday. They also told me he never showed up for a job that he loved that morning as well. What we do know about his disappearance is this. Alabama authorities did track his blue Tesla Model 3. According to the Tesla car data, it stopped for 4 hours at the Huntsville International Airport, which is about 12 minutes from his apartment. The data shows his car left the airport, traveled west on Alabama back roads before crashing in Florence, Alabama. Tuesday, 2 p.m., the car was discovered and a body inside, but the body was found burned beyond recognition, according to family members. But the case has only raised more questions. LeBlanc's phone, his personal belongings, and even his dog were all left behind in his Huntsville apartment. Family members say the detour and disappearance don't match anything Joshua had planned for that day. And now they believe.
So what's the theory? That they took him to the airport, they offloaded him there, they flew him out somewhere, and they have him basically locked up in some sort of camp somewhere investigating aliens, and they put a fake body in the car. They drove the car and they crashed it with a fake another body in it that they're going to say is him.
Believe he may have been abducted from his home.
This could be the case. It could be the case that these scientists aren't dying, that they're actually being taken somewhere to do some sort of research into something that they don't want to tell us about. That's the conspiracy theory. Well, I'm just coming up with that, but I'm sure people are saying similar things.
Joshua LeBlanc grew up.
Or they know something that they shouldn't know, and they're being taken out so that they can't expose it. It's another theory. FBI has major task ahead. The FBI is reviewing cases of at least 10 scientists who have died or disappeared since 2022, most of whom had connections with government research. See, I think it's more likely that they're not actually dying because some of them have disappeared, that they're being taken somewhere to do some sort of research on something. Maybe there's a meteor coming at Earth that's going to destroy the Earth. Maybe aliens landed and they're investigating the aliens. Or maybe we're trying to figure out how to set up a base on the moon, but we don't want our enemies to find out about it. Maybe they're working on some sort of laser space technology that can wipe out all our enemies. Who knows? But they might not be dropping dead. They might be disappearing for other reasons. Trump said he hopes the cases are a coincidence, but also said relevant agencies are looking into things. Researcher felt endangered before her 2022 death. Amy Eskridge dies by suicide in Huntsville, Alabama. Eskridge was a plasma physicist studying anti-gravity technology and had worked with NASA. This is going to show an ad a bit. I don't want to watch the ad. One of Eskridge's friends said she told him that if she died by suicide, it would not be true, and stated she was being targeted by a directed energy weapon. We love talking about directed energy weapons, DEWs, they call them, from space. Space lasers. I'm telling you, you don't think space is real. We have space lasers that can control your brain. We could black out your whole city and take your leaders captive instantly. But people don't believe in space. We know if the case. This is crazy. You don't believe in space? You don't get to play with any of this stuff. Okay? You don't get to touch on none of this because this all got space involved in it.
Of the missing or dead national security insiders are all connected. All
kids looking at these stories, skipping science class. No thanks. Nope. So I don't like science. Not going to science class. What's up, Rev?
Some or none of them. It's also possible we may never know as the FBI continues investigating. News outlets, including the one you're watching right now, well, we're doing some digging of our own. In a moment, I'll speak to a retired British paratrooper and intelligence officer who says he was in contact with anti-gravity researcher Amy Eskridge hours before she was found dead. The 34-year-old Amy Eskridge was found dead of a gunshot wound to the head in Huntsville, Alabama in June 2022. Her death...
Amy Eskridge. She looks so familiar. She looks like a girl I knew once. But that girl was definitely not an anti-gravity plasma scientist.
Was ruled a suicide. But a man named Frank Milburn is adamant that that is not true, that did not happen. She did not kill herself. Now, beyond his credentials as a former British paratrooper, Milburn is well known in the UFO community for his papers on the Pentagon and on UFOs. And tonight he's providing us with what he says is evidence that Amy feared for her life. Milburn says he spoke to Amy just 4 hours before she died and claims that she seemed fine. He also says he texted with her about what she claimed were physical and psychological attacks meant to intimidate her. News Nation is not...
Where's the directed energy weapons, and does he have these texts? Can he prove this?
...been able to independently verify the text messages or the pictures that we're about to show you. In this text conversation, it appears as...
Here's the text. They answered the question, but these have not been verified, so this could be fake.
Eskridge texted Milburn pictures of her hands, which do seem to be burned or discolored in these photos. She writes, "Burns line up perfectly with the edge of the table as I was typing. Getting hit repeatedly with military-grade sci-fi weapons is pretty tiresome after..."
That's exactly what the DEWs do. They make your skin burn and tingle.
For a while. In others, she tells Milburn not to believe she committed suicide if she ends up dead. This one reads, quote, "I did not shoot myself in my head with my own firearm.
Sick.
I did not overdose on my prescription meds. I did not drive off a cliff." It is worth noting News Nation spoke to Amy's father, and he told us her death was not suspicious, and it is not tied to the other missing scientists and researchers. But when we saw Milburn's story, we decided it was important enough to bring him on the show, ask him some tough questions.
Years before that, so she was probably between 3 years and 4 years of this intense harassment. I also spoke to her co-workers while she was still alive, and in one instance.
Why are the bald British guys always the biggest conspiracy theorists? I was watching a moon landing documentary this morning, and all the guys who were saying the moon landing was fake, they were all old bald British guys.
Those photos that you showed of a directed energy weapon attack with microwaves that actually took place, and she called me straight afterwards and then sent me the videos, which I've also.
The DEWs, guys. I've been telling you about these DEWs for years. Done a lot of videos talking about directed energy weapons. Did you know we use directed energy weapons in Venezuela? Who would have thunk it? Who's been telling you about this for so long? Duh. We got satellites that could fry a whole city. We're making a solar panel array the size of Texas in space that gathers sunlight and beams it down to Earth. The Star Wars are coming.
Provided to News Nation. Basically explain.
They're going to get me next. Guys, if they take me out, I did not commit suicide.
The attack, and there was another scientist, expert witness there as well, and this wasn't the only one.
Yeah.
And I spoke to her, for.
All right. I think we got the point of that. Let's see what we got here. CNN. What's CNN talking about?
At least 10 people, some of whom we put on this board, who may have had ties to sensitive U.S. research died or disappeared in recent years.
Well, I hope it's random, but some of them were very important people, and we're going to look at it over the next short period.
The Republican-led House Oversight Committee now wants briefings from the FBI, NASA, the Department of Defense, Department of Energy on about a dozen names. But is there actually a sinister connection? Most of them worked in different fields, and their cases.
Yeah, but all of these fields are connected if we're talking about space wars and anti-gravity technology and nuclear physics and lasers and energy weapons and space. They all can be connected.
Vary widely. Some are unsolved homicides. Some are missing persons cases with no signs of foul play. And in some cases, their deaths are not a mystery, like MIT professor Nuno F.G. Loureiro, who was shot and killed by the same person who also killed two people at the Brown University campus. That suspect later died by suicide. And
okay, but just so they make it look like some crazy guy went into Brown just shooting randomly, but really he had a target. But he was told to hit a couple other people to make it look like you're just a crazy guy. Like, there is still questions about Brown, and we don't even know the answers yet. That was a school, a professor, a university professor who traveled from another state to do that. And then they found him in a storage shed. And we still don't know all the answers to that.
Caltech astrophysicist
So you can't just say there's no questions about his death. Yes, there are. What do you mean?
Carl Grillmeyer, who the LA County Sheriff's Office believes was killed by a stranger who was also charged with a burglary and carjacking elsewhere the same day.
Just a random stranger.
Some of them, however, disappeared with really no explanation or any known connection with each other. William Neal McCaslin, a retired Air Force Major General who was at the center of some of the Pentagon's most advanced aerospace research, he hasn't been seen since he walked out of his Albuquerque, New Mexico home on February 27th.
So he just disappeared. And also, whatever happened to that news reporter's grandma that got kidnapped in New Mexico? Whatever happened to that story? Sidetrack, derail. My bad. I digress. But I just remembered that. Made me think about it because they say he walked out of his home in Albuquerque and he just disappeared, and we never heard anything about that. But that old lady disappears. Well, there was a ransom note and stuff with that case. But whatever happened to her?
New Mexico, Anthony Chavez, a retired building foreman, and Melissa Cassius, reportedly an administrative assistant. They both worked at Los Alamos National Laboratory, a leading nuclear research facility. They disappeared last year without a trace, and authorities tell me those are still active open cases. Former U.S. Air Force.
See, I don't think it's aliens, but I do think it's space tech. I think it's space weaponry is what they're working on.
Intelligence officer Matthew James Sullivan died before he could testify in a federal whistleblower case about UFOs, according to U.S. Representative Eric Burleson. I talked to the daughter.
See, they keep saying UFOs to trick people into thinking it's about aliens. They're not called UFOs anymore. They're called UAPs. So this isn't about aliens. This is about military tech, anti-gravity, nuclear, physics tech being made. We're basically making the spaceships, but like crazy spaceships with weaponry on them and lasers and stuff and directed energy weapons.
Daughter of one scientist, Michael David Hicks, who worked for NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory for nearly 25 years. His daughter said he had.
This is actually crazy because I've been talking about this stuff for years. This is one of the topics that I really like. I like learning about the secret space tech that we have. This is why I don't like moon landing denial so much. You're destroying young boys' childhood who want to grow up and be an astronaut, and you're destroying all the cool stuff that's happening in space right now. Scary stuff. Like the whole world could get destroyed by a pillar of fire like the Bible talks about.
Known medical conditions, and she's the one who found him when he passed.
I just know he is rolling in his grave, knowing that his name is going around being involved in something like this.
So while some family and close friends are shrugging this off, others, like Chavez's best friend, tell me it's about time for a federal investigation, hoping for some answers and closure.
Yeah, you'd think he's rolling in his grave. He's actually working on a UFO space laser somewhere in Area 51. Anyway, that stuff's crazy. We're keeping an eye on this for sure. We got anything else? How conspiracy theories about missing or dead scientists went from online forums to the White House. Here's NBC. In DNC. See, NBC out here, new basic compost telling us about how it's all a bunch of conspiracy theories. It's all just a bunch of conspiracy theories. On April 15th, a question about, and see, I'm a conspiracy theorist, okay? I like my conspiracy theories. I don't like the moon landing denial because I think that's a fake conspiracy theory. It's a conspiracy theory. It's a fake conspiracy theory made up to discredit real conspiracy theories. How conspiracy theory? If I say conspiracy theory one more time, speculation about links among a handful of U.S. scientists who have died or disappeared in recent years was largely confined to niche online communities less than 2 months ago. As of Friday, the number had grown to at least 12 and was at the epicenter of U.S. government, with both the FBI and Congress investigating possible connections. At a press gathering April 16th, President Donald Trump was asked about 10 missing scientists with access to classified stuff, nuclear material, aerospace. They've all gone missing or turned up dead in the last couple months, and whether he thought there were ties among them. Well, I hope it's random, but we're going to know in the next week and a half, Trump said. Those speculating about the cases suggest that the individuals were targeted perhaps by global U.S. adversaries because of the sensitive nature of their work related to topics such as astrophysics, nuclear weapons, and pharmaceuticals. But so far, no evidence has been found that definitively links them or establishes coordinated foul play. And it's never going to be found out. That even if they investigate into it and they find something, they probably won't end up telling us. I think Trump's just trying to show face. I'm sure if there's something going on, he knows about it. But he wants to satisfy his base by saying, we're going to look into this. Atheism is the biggest conspiracy theory. Relatives of 10 scientists. BBC's not going to let me read it. That's all right. I think I want to move on from this. Though this is just a post from David Wilcox saying, I plan on living not suicidal at all, just concerned about what happens when you prove God is real. Based. The ancient aliens guy believes in God. See, so that's why when I say if aliens turn out to be real, it will make me question my faith and my religion in Christianity, but it doesn't mean it's going to disprove it. I'm just going to have to ask some questions and figure out some justifications, because currently I don't believe in no dang space intelligent life forms. Yeah, there's probably some biobes and some microbes floating around in space or something. Maybe they can find water in some sort of primordial soup. I know they found some sucroses and some glucose, basically sugar, on some asteroids. But do I think there's an intelligent metacognition life form in space? No, I don't believe that. And if they found that, I would have some serious reevaluation to do of my worldview to justify it. But if it turned out that there were space aliens, I'd probably think they're fake. I'd probably think that it was a Operation Blue Beam, some sort of plan to have world global unity, globalism, one world language and currency and religion, because we have to fight against the aliens. I would think it was a lie. But let's move on. This is not supposed to be first. I need to move this back. The biggest story this week, we'll probably spend the rest of the show looking at this stuff. I'd like to have, we'll probably talk about this. I'll try to go for like 40 minutes on this, but then have like 10 minutes at the end so we can watch Rachel and Avris's questions at the debate. If aliens show up, I'm converting them all to Christianity. You're going to preach to the aliens. The question is, are they there's so many questions where it messes with the biblical narrative. Do they have a Messiah? Is their Messiah the same as our Messiah? Do they live in a fallen world? Is their planet fallen? Do they have the knowledge of good and evil? Or are they just like androgynous, like automatons that don't, do they have free will? Do they have souls? Do they go to heaven or hell? All these questions, like, and if there's a physical resurrection, when I'm in heaven and there's all these other planets with aliens who are also, are they God's children? Or are they, now if you want to just say they're angels and demons, that's fine, but I think that's a cop-out. That's not what we're talking about. Yes, I'll agree that there's powers and principalities that hold the stars in place, that there's maybe some of those lights that we see in the sky are other terrestrial planes or something like that. You can say there's some metaphysical angels and demons that are out, and these are the things that, like, Elijah got taken up in the wheels, the Oraphim, the Seraphim, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a physical, intelligent being, and there's a physical resurrection. Am I going to see a bunch of different aliens when I'm in heaven? Like, I don't know. There's a lot of questions that come in. But anyway, let's move on to the last, of course, the craziest story this week. The shooting, attempted shoot. Well, it was a shooting. A guard got shot. A security, Secret Service agent, I believe, got shot in the chest. He was wearing a vest. We're going to read the manifesto, but we have the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting. Luckily, nobody was killed, not even the shooter. There are some conspiracy theories popping up about this already. In all the pictures of him, he has no shirt on. I saw some people saying he had a shirt that said something like the Israeli something, like, so they're trying to tie the Jews in with this somehow. I don't know if they're saying he's like a terrorist, an Iranian ISIS type, or not. I know ISIS is in Iran, but like a terrorist, or is he tied to Judaism? I don't know. I don't know what the conspiracies are saying yet. So we're just going to go off of what we know for sure right now, which is this guy was staying at the hotel. Cole Thomas Allen. Some news networks are giving them the three names. 3 names is typical of assassins. They always give them 3 names. If you're a conspiracy theorist, then you think that means that they're tied. It's like a code that means that they're tied to like MK Ultra and something. They're like a Manchurian candidate who was activated, and sent to do this. That's why they give him the 3 names. But then some stations aren't giving him the 3 names. They're just giving him Cole Allen. So Google's translates communicates in a language humans do not understand. Not aliens from other planets, aliens from another mind, a hive mind. Could AI construct something that looks and acts alien without our knowledge? Huh. I don't know. But think
when choosing the right gear to
let me just
All
go
right, let's
here.
get back to our big story of the morning.
So let's
that, of
watch
course, being
this.
The shooting outside the White House Correspondents' Dinner. The suspect, Cole
Gotta show a picture of a strong woman security guard.
Allen, he's going to be arraigned in federal court today.
Look at this guy. He definitely got a bit of a farmer's tan, huh? He white here, but he dark up here.
He faces at least 2 charges that
See, they called him Cole Allen. But other things that I'll show you, they're calling him Cole Thomas Allen.
could include using firearms during a violent crime and assault on a federal officer with a dangerous weapon. Now, according to police, Allen exchanged gunfire with law
I mean, you could get attempted murder.
enforcement. Secret Service agent was hit in the bulletproof vest.
Trump's like, you see how fast he runs through there? He looks like a blur. Wow, he was going so fast, he should be in the Olympics. He looks like he's a blur. He said that. He's like, well, if this guy wasn't so messed up, he said he's a deranged person. If he wasn't so messed up, you could probably put him in the Olympics. You see how fast he ran? He looked like a blur. He said that.
That he was wearing. Authorities say the alleged shooter had a so-called manifesto.
I think
Now,
this is the guy that got shot.
around that show that
There's
manifesto
JD. There's JD getting pulled out.
said that he wanted to target Trump administration officials, quote, from highest ranking to lowest.
I'm going to read his manifesto here shortly, but here's that surveillance footage again. Look how fast he runs. He looks like a blur. He just ran through like a blur. I think, and there is audio. No, there's not audio of what's happening in here. This is audio of whoever's watching this surveillance footage. But looks like he maybe shoots this guy. He runs by, boom, and then this guy ducks down and he grabs his gun. By the way, this is all for news and commentary, educational purposes and news reporting purposes only, and a little bit of satire and entertainment. None of this is being shown live. I do not support people using firearms against their enemies in this situation. Well, I support Secret Service using their weapons, but I don't support that guy shooting people. And this is not live. This is not live footage. This is from X and YouTube surveillance footage of the White House Correspondents' dinner, and only for news and educational purposes. So that's that. Now, this is when it happens. This is the best video I've seen of the reactions of people when it happens. This guy, I forget his name, but he's the mentalist. He's been on Joe Rogan and stuff like that. Let me make it bigger for you guys. He's been on Joe Rogan and stuff like that. He basically like guesses your ATM number. Right now, he is guessing the name. I think, is this Erica Kirk and Melania and Trump? And he's guessing the name. This is not Erica Kirk, but of somebody's daughter. And so he asks her questions, and he writes a name on a paper, and he's showing Trump and her the name on the paper. So the surprise on their face is not due to the gunshots. You kind of hear the gunshots. You hear pop, 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 pop. And they said they thought it was plates clanking to the floor. And then they all look surprised. They're not surprised by the gunshots. They're surprised by this guy guessing the name of her newborn. And see, she's going, what? See, he shows her the name. And now they're all looking in because people are going to the ground. But I don't think you hear the pops. Right there. Boom. And then they don't even notice it yet. Now, then they do hear plates clanking as people are going to the floor. And then all the Secret Service is running in, and now they know something's up. Now Trump's saying, wait, I want to see. He starts to walk out, and then they tell him, get down. He said, I thought I was walking very tall, not too tall, but I had to stand up tall, and then they told me get down, so I had to get down. Everybody's getting to the floor. Now, the guy never makes it into the ballroom. People are recording. This guy's smiling like nothing happened. And he stands up. So, let me see this timeline. What the heck? It's a video? I thought I could read this. DC Gala shooting suspect aired grievances against Trump in writings to the family. We already watched that. Okay, before we look into the suspect, and by the way, already the the left is saying this was staged. This is just a way to get Trump more votes before the midterms to make him look stronger. This was staged. It was fake. The guy was never going to get in the building. Blah, 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 as the left always does. But what's crazy, which I think this is nothing. I think this is being blown out of proportion. But this is Karine Jean-Pierre right before Carolyn Levitt. My bad. That was insulting. Carolyn Levitt right before the shooting happened, talking to the press. And she says, there's going to be some shots fired at the event, talking about Trump's speech. A little bit of nothing, but kind of interesting.
Ready to rumble, is he not?
He is ready to rumble. I will tell you, this speech tonight will be classic Donald J. Trump. It'll be funny. It'll be entertaining. There will be some shots fired tonight in the room. So everyone should tune in.
Investigate her. This is Destiny. Destiny says, investigate her. Because she said there will be some shots fired.
It's going to be really great. I'm looking forward to hearing it.
I love it all. And you wrote most of it, you said.
I can't take credit. In true Donald Trump fashion, the man puts his pen to the paper himself. So it's a lot of his own work.
Ready to rumble, is he not?
He is ready to.
There will be shots fired. Uh-oh. All right, let's look at this suspect. From AP, the man accused of opening fire at the White House Correspondents Association dinner railed against Trump administration's policy, referring to himself as a friendly federal assassin in writings sent to family members minutes before an attack that authorities increasingly believe was politically motivated. According to a message reviewed by the Associated Press, the writings sent shortly before shots were fired Saturday night at the Washington Hilton made repeated references to President Donald Trump without naming him directly and alluded to grievances over a range of administrative actions, including U.S. strikes on boats accused of smuggling drugs in the Eastern Pacific Ocean. They reference Trump without naming him directly because it says a pedophile rapist, and it keeps referring to that. And I think I have the clip I don't have the clip, but it's somewhere in the 60 Minutes interview. She says he's referring to you. And Trump's like, I'm not a pedophile. He can't be referring to me. I'm not a rapist. Who have I raped? He can't be talking about me. Suspect ran quickly. Here's the map of the building. Suspect ran quickly towards a security checkpoint here. So here's the foyer. Suspect was apprehended in this area. Where did he come from? Vance was escorted stage left. Trump was seated here and escorted stage right. Connecting stairs. This is the foyer area, so he would have came in here. Where did the suspect come in from? He came from the elevators. And he ran fast. He was trying to run around here and get this way into the building. Let's just, before we look into this guy, let's just read the manifesto. because this is wild. All right, this is his manifesto. It's pretty long, but I'm going to read the whole thing to you. There's a couple interesting things here. All right. Read Cole Allen's manifesto in full. First off, he writes like he's posting on X, where everything has like double-lined paragraphs after every sentence. I hate when people do that. It's some weird new way that we write, which is not, you're not a poet. Why are you doing that? Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. That's how he starts it. So I may have given a lot of people a surprise today. Let me start off by apologizing to everyone whose trust I abused. I apologize to my parents for saying I had an interview without specifying it was for Most Wanted. He said he had an interview, and his interview was for the Most Wanted list. I apologize to my colleagues and students for saying I had a personal emergency. By the time anyone reads this, I probably most certainly do need to go to the ER, but can hardly call that not a self-inflicted status. That's horrible grammar, so he's probably a little dumb. I apologize to all of the people I traveled next to, all the workers who handled my luggage, and all the other non-targeted people at the hotel who I put in danger simply by being near. I apologize to everyone who was abused and or murdered before this, to all those who suffered before I was able to attempt this, to all who may still suffer after, regardless of my success or failure. I don't expect forgiveness, but if I could have seen any other way to get this close, I would have taken it. Again, my sincere apologies. On why I did any of this. I am a citizen of the United States of America. What my representatives do reflects on me. And I am no longer willing to permit a pedophile, rapist, and traitor to coat my hands with his crimes. So the 60-minute lady brings up this line, and she asks Trump about it. She says, see, Trump's like, he didn't refer to me. And she's like, well, right here, pedophile, rapist, and traitor. He's talking about you. And Trump's like, I'm not a pedophile or a rapist or a traitor. So obviously he's not talking about me. If it don't apply, let it fly. Ain't that right, Trump? Well, to be completely honest, I was no longer willing a long time ago, but this is my first real opportunity I've had to do something about it. While I'm discussing this, I'll also go over my expected rules of engagement, probably in a terrible format, but I'm not military, so too bad. Nobody cares about your rules of engagement. They're just going to shoot you, dude. You're lucky you're not dead. I don't know how they got him without shooting him. Notice how it all starts with I, every paragraph. Up there it did, but now it doesn't. Administrations, now this is the weirdest part. Administration officials, not including Mr. Patel, they are targets, prioritized from highest ranking to lowest. Why is the director of the FBI not a target? So he likes Kash Patel? You're mad at Trump for being a rapist, but you're a fan of Kash Patel. Kash Patel's not on your target list. Why would he not include Kash as a target? That doesn't make sense. Secret Service, they are targets only if necessary, and to be incapacitated non-lethally if possible, aka I hope they're wearing body armor, because center mass with shotguns messes up people who aren't wearing body armor. Hotel security, not targets if at all possible, aka unless they shoot at me. Capitol Police, same as hotel security. Hotel employees, not targets at all. Guests, not targets at all. In order to minimize casualties, I will also be using buckshot rather than slugs, less penetration through walls. So he's holding a shotgun in that picture. Looked like a pistol. Maybe he used AI to write it. That's very possible, because it does look like it's written by AI. But I don't know, these grammar mistakes. No, I think he wrote it and he's just TikTok brained, and this is how they write now. Or social media brained. Objection 1. I will still go through most everyone here to get to the targets if it were absolutely necessary, on the basis that most people chose to attend a speech by a pedophile, rapist, and traitor, and are thus complicit. So that implies Trump a little more if the speech is by Trump. But I really hope it doesn't come to that. Objection 1. As a Christian, you should turn the other cheek. Here we go. This is, I don't know, man. I don't trust. Some of these manifestos seem like they're totally made up. Got to put that you're a Christian in there. You're a Christian, but you're doing an assassination on a president. Rebuttal, turning the other cheek. What does this guy think he's doing a debate right now? Turning the other cheek is for when you yourself are oppressed. I'm not the person raped in a detention camp. I'm not the fisherman executed without trial. So he thinks the boats are fishing. The Venezuelan boats are fishing boats. So this guy just believes all the retarded narratives. I'm not a school kid blown up or a child starved or a teenage girl abused by the many criminals in this administration. So he believes all the lies that the Democrats have said about the Epstein files. He believes the lies about America needs socialism because children are starving to death, meal insecurity. They don't know where their next meals are coming from. He believes that we blew up a little girl's school. We're just targeting little girls' schools in Iran. He believes that the boats are fishing boats. He believes all the bullshit. He believes that Alligator Alcatraz is a concentration camp where they're raping immigrants, legal citizens of America are getting taken to concentration camps and getting raped. He believes all the bullshit. He's got TDS because the media forced TDS on him. And then 60 Minutes has the gall to ask Trump about him being a rapist. That's the bullshit that gets these people doing this. Objection 2, this is not a convenient time for you to do this. Rebuttal, I need whoever thinks this is this way to take a couple minutes and realize that the world isn't about them. Do you think that when I see someone raped or murdered or abused, I should walk on by because it would be inconvenient for people who aren't the victim? So this guy thinks he's a vigilante hero. He thinks he's Batman. This was the best timing and chance of success I could come up with. Objection 3, you didn't get them all. Rebuttal, you got to start somewhere. Objection 4, as a half black, half white person, oh God, it's about race. You shouldn't be the one doing this. Well, who should do it? An all black person or an all white person? Rebuttal, I don't see anyone else picking up the slack. Objection 5, yield unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Rebuttal, the United States of America are ruled by the law, not by any one or several people. Insofar as representatives and judges do not follow the law, no one is required to yield them anything so unlawfully ordered. That's not true. That's why even though Jesus was innocent and he knew he was innocent, he still willingly walked to the cross. He suffered the punishment from the government. He yielded to the authority of the government, and he allowed himself to be put to death for crimes that he was innocent of. Even though the law was unjust, he still yielded to the authority of it. So that's wrong. I would also like to extend my appreciation to a great many people, since I will not likely be able to talk with them again unless the Secret Service is astoundingly incompetent, which they weren't. Thank you to my family, both personnel and church, for your love over these 31 years. Thank you to my friends for your companionship over many years. Thank you to my colleagues. This sounds like when people pray. It's like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Here's what I hope God help me with this. God help me with this. God help me with this. And then thank you, God. Praise God. Thank you for your everything that you've given to me. Sounds like how some people pray. Thank you to my students for your enthusiasm and love of learning. This guy was a teacher. Shocker. Gives credence to MK Ultra claims that he went through university or something and had some sort of weird stuff did to his brain. Thank you to many acquaintances I met in person and online for short interactions and long-term relationships, for your perspective and inspiration. Thank you all for everything. Sincerely, Cole, Cold Force, what is that, his gamer tag? Friendly Federal Assassin, Allen, Cole Allen. So he wasn't using 3 names. He should know if he wants to be an assassin, he needs to sign it with 3 names. That's why he failed. P.S. Okay, now all the snappy stuff is done. What the hell is the Secret Service doing? Sorry, gonna rant a bit here and drop the formal tone. Yeah, it was very formal before. Like I expected, security cameras at every bend, bugged hotel rooms, armed agents every 10 feet, metal detectors out the wazoo. What I got, who knows, maybe they're pranking me, is nothing. No damn security, not in transport, not in the hotel, not in the event. Like, the one thing that I immediately noticed walking into the hotel is the sense of arrogance. I walk in with multiple weapons, and not a single person there considers the possibility that I could be a threat. The security at the event is all outside, focused on protesters and current arrivals, because apparently no one thought about what happens if someone checks in the day before. that is kind of weird, you know? That is kind of strange, Secret Service. Like, this level of incompetence is insane, and I very sincerely hope it's corrected by the time this country gets actually competent leadership again. Like, if I would now it's turned into a TikTok girl. Like, if I was an Iranian agent instead of an American citizen, I could have brought a damn Madus in here and no one would have noticed shit. Actually insane. Oh yeah, now he sounds, yeah, okay. Actually insane. Oh, and if anyone is curious is how doing something like feels. Oh, and if anyone is curious is how doing something like feels, it's awful. Okay. He's getting drunk at this point, I think. I want to throw up. I want to cry for all the things I wanted to do and never will, for all the people whose trust this betrays. I experience rage thinking about everything this administration has done. Can't really recommend it. Stay in school, kids. Oh, school is what did this to you, you retard. You're a teacher. You write like an idiot. You think like an idiot. You believe nonsense. You're gullible. You're like a worthless human being. And I hope you spend 20 years in jail. Crazy. Trump snaps at 60-minute interviewers when asked about correspondent dinner's shootings manifesto. I think I have that interview. This is his first speech he gave.
Of law enforcement, the law enforcement and working with the D.C. police.
Anyway, we watched this the other night on Saturday night. We watched that. I thought I had the 60-minute full thing in here, but basically the article just talks about how she brings up the pedophile line. President Donald Trump criticized CBS News host Norah O'Donnell, calling her a disgrace after she read out a portion of the White House Correspondents' Dinner shootings alleged manifesto, where he mentions allegations of sexual misconduct without naming anyone directly. During the interview, Trump was asked about the purported document, in which O'Donnell said he appears to mention a motive and writes, administrative officials, they are targets. O'Donnell then read out unsubstantiated allegations made in the manifesto, where he wrote, I am no longer willing to permit a pedophile, rapist, and traitor to coat my hands with his crimes. The president reacted angrily to the manifesto being read out during the interview and said he knew O'Donnell would read that because you're a horrible person. Trump said, I am not a rapist. I didn't rape anybody. And then the interviewer asked if he thinks the shooter was mentioning him. The president retorted, I am not a pedophile. Trump chastised O'Donnell for reading crap written by some sick person before calling her a disgrace and saying she should be ashamed of herself. Base Trump. It's true, too. You know what they're doing when they do that. And what they're doing is causing more people to believe this. She's basically justifying the shooter. She's saying, well, because she says, do you think that he wanted to do this because of some of the things you're doing? And he's like, I know some of the things I'm doing aren't popular and people aren't going to like them. And people want to take out substantial presidents who are doing substantial things and making big moves. We're making big moves in that. So people want to take us out. And she's like, well, what about the pedophile rapist part? And he's like, you're such a piece of shit. Basically, that's how it goes. And he's right, because when she does that, repeating unsubstantiated claims made by a crazy person who was trying to kill him, you're basically justifying it and saying, well, that's why he was doing it, is because he thinks you're a pedophile and a rapist. What do you have to say about that? He says, I'm not one. Okay, well, half the country thinks you are because of our reporting. And that's why this stuff keeps happening. This is now 3 attempts on our president's life. This is absolutely insane. America is sick. There's a serious problem here. And we need to figure it out and get this shit right. Very dangerous job now, unpaid. So we're making big moves. They don't like it, so they're trying to take us out. So that's it. I think this is his court date. Somewhere we have the court date. I don't really have time to watch that, but he did show up in court today for his first appearance.
Allen walked into the courtroom.
Here we go.
And Thomas Allen walked into the courtroom.
Dude, these court drawings are so funny. I wish I could have got a job doing this because I think I could do a better job. I think I could do a better job than this. Look at this. He do look goofy, though.
In what appeared to be blue scrubs and immediately sat down at the
blue scrubs. It's prison garb.
Defense table. U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro was sitting in the front row. Magistrate Judge Matthew Shaw.
And usually it would be orange or maybe orange and white stripes or pink sometimes. The blue is because it's federal. This is in D.C., so this is automatically a federal charge.
Harbaugh then went through what is a familiar routine, asking.
Of course, I mean, it's an attack on Trump. Of course, the feds are going to pick it up. But if this were in like Pennsylvania or something, and the state could have some say in what's happening with the prosecution. But in this case, it's all federal because it's in D.C.
Allen a number of questions. Cole Thomas Allen told the judge he was 31 years old and had a master's degree. He nodded his head at a number of the judge's questions.
See, Cole Thomas Allen. So just pay attention to which outlets are reporting him as Cole Allen and which ones are reporting him as Cole Thomas Allen. Seems like a meaningless thing, but I think it's important. I've talked about this before. If you don't know about the 3-name thing, you need to go watch Conspiracy Theory with Mel Gibson.
Indicating he understood. At one point, the assistant U.S. attorney assigned to the case showed photos of the pistol.
That is just a photo of a rifle. It is not being transported. It is not being moved, and it is from NBC News. This is for news reporting purposes and educational purposes. Nobody's touching that thing. It's just an evidence photo.
And shotgun to the judge and gave copies to the defense.
So he did have a pistol too. I know I saw the pistols.
Just a few minutes before Judge Harbaugh told Allen he would be back in court on Thursday.
He had multiple knives.
Hearing. Now, according to the complaint filed in federal court, Allen booked a room at the Washington Hilton on April 6th for 3 nights. The complaint says he arrived here by train on Friday and checked into the hotel. Prosecutors say
now that the one conspiracy theory I've seen, and I don't know if this is supported or what, is that they took off the sweater he was wearing because it said something about Israel. Maybe I'll give you another update on this later if I get more pictures and I can actually see video. And I know it's not AI or something off of X, but there's a lot of people on X saying they took off he was wearing a hoodie that said something about Israel refugee or Israeli resistance or something like that. And they took the sweater off. But I don't know if that's true or verified yet, so I don't really want to report on it. But anyway, I got to head out to work soon. So we're going to cut that a little early. We did not get to the rapid fire and the Noah's Ark stuff, so I might do a special. Tomorrow night, a short, like, little 2-hour show where we just talk about the Noah's Ark stuff. I want to get, eventually, I got a lot of debates lined up, and I got the World War thing lined up, so I got to be careful not to overschedule myself, but I would like to get a Noah's Ark debate with somebody someday, but it might not be for a while. Don't count on it anytime soon. But before we go, I want to watch Rachel and Avarice's questions. We didn't watch the closings, but we're going to watch some questions here from this debate. Oh, they took it down? Dang, they took it down. Hold on, let me see if Rattlesnake has it. Let me see if Jake Rattlesnake has it. Up still. Dude, I've never seen Uncensored America take the video down like that. It's not up here. I know he was reacting to it live. It's not up here. Did he take it? Hold on, let me see something. If I go to watch party on the Crucible, that's probably not live anymore. This one, debate review from Jake. Video unavailable. Jake took it down. Uncensored America took it down. Crucible took it down. Everybody took it down. I'm looking at it right here. Pre-debate, Andrew Wilson. Oh, so he didn't cover it live? Dang. So I'm the only one that's going to have footage of the debate now. Maybe they're going to get my stream taken down. That would suck. I just wanted to see Avarice ask a question because he was second in line after Rachel. But they're all taken down. Dang, that sucks. All right, well, then I guess we're going to end a little. I was going to spend another 10 minutes talking about that, but I do have some tummy rumblings right now. So I'm just going to take off early. Easy's got a debate going on with First Amender and Kung Fu Joe, who's going to be in Ward War. So it'll be interesting to see his style, doing a little bit of op research. His question sucked. What did he ask? His question sucked. He asked a stupid question. Yeah, you just get up there to ask a question. Don't matter if it's good or not. If I don't have a good question, I'm not going to just get up there and just ask a dumb question. Is that what Avarice did? Well, now I'm one of the only channels that has that debate on the channel, but hopefully they don't take the stream down because everybody took it down. Probably because they repeated the word PDF file over and over and over again. I've never seen Uncensored America take something down. Like they have way crazier stuff from Myron Gaines and Milo and Gavin. They have way crazier stuff that they've left up. Maybe they're going to re-upload it in video form. That would be nice. But anyway, let's go watch this debate on Easy Channel while I finish getting ready for work and all that stuff. You set up the raid real quick. It was shut down instantly. Forget the question, but it wasn't good. Okay. So it wasn't that memorable, I guess. All right, we'll go over to Easy Channel, put some chairs in his chat, let him know the raid came over. Thank you guys for hanging out. This has been the Dreaded Conservative Show. Every Monday night, kicking the week off, right? The world's a crazy place. I just report on it. If you like it, tell a friend. If you hate it, tell everybody. I know we didn't get to the Noah's Ark stuff. We'll do like a short special. Maybe in the morning during a Bible study, we'll do a little deep dive into Noah's Ark. I've been giving hints and I've been talking about the new stuff that came out, but I want to do like a real deep dive and do a little Kent Hovind exclusive, reviewing some Kent Hovind Noah's Ark stuff. I love Kent Hovind. He's great on the Ark. One of the best. So maybe we'll review one of those instead of doing a Bible study this week. Plus, I've got to do a lot of moon landing prep this week, so won't be on as much in the mornings. We're going to skip a couple days of Bible study. Like tomorrow morning, I won't be live. I'm going to be doing intensive moon landing stuff, and I've been doing it. I've listened to so much moon stuff over the past couple days, and I'm going to listen to a lot more. Saturday night, we have the big moon landing debate. So it's going to be epic. I'll get you more. It's going to be 8:30 Mountain Time, so 10:30 Eastern Time. It'll be on my channel. It'll be on Easy Channel. Everybody's going to be watching it. I'll probably start the stream a little bit before the debate starts. We'll see, because I might just link my stream to his. And then when it's over and he leaves, I'll start a new stream. But we'll figure it out. But don't miss that, guys. You'll see me before then. VK will do at least one morning stream. So you'll see me before then. But that's the next big thing. But God bless you guys. Thank you for hanging out. I'm going to head out. Let's go. Thank you. We out. Peace.